and the lady in her floppy hat and finery, sometimes in a wedding gown. They are not technically like a bride and groom in like a wedding sense, even though that's kind of how people see them or perceive them. With the Catrina, Aztec imagery of skeletons were actually reintroduced into the broader Mexican culture by political comics, most famously Jose Poscada in 1910. The Catrina's floppy hat and the Catrina's top hat, were actually modeled after the dictator Porfirio Diaz and his wife. And after the Spanish were kicked out and it became Mexico, that is when you really started seeing the Catrina and the Catrina around in the newspaper and media and stuff like that. Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo both embraced the Catrina and the Catrin in their art. There's a famous mural by Diego Rivera which features him as a child holding hands with the Catrina, and in it, and then on the other side of his hand is his mother, and it was saying that both of these were his mother. Blessed new moon in Libra, blessed Samhain, blessed Dios de los Muertos, blessed feast day of Santa Muerte, blessed All Hallows Eve, blessed Halloween, blessed All Saints Day, blessed All Souls Day, and blessed Guy Fawkes Day for those who celebrate. And welcome to the Samhain / Dios de los Muertos special episode of Spelling the HEKA-TEA with Marcus and Yvan. I'm Marcus James, activist, queer horror author, witch, and obviously, as always, a defiant homosexual.
And I am Yvan. I am a witch, a fiction editor, a lipstick lesbian, a legal assistant, and a person who just stabbed my bestie in the hand with my fingernail.
Yes. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are returning, welcome back to an all-new, brand new season. Yes, this is season 2, episode 1 of the show. If you are a returning champion joining us again, thank you so very much for returning. You know the drill. If you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe, and share our show with other people. This is so important to us. The engagement, we need it. It really helps a lot. Just liking it, just taking a second to hit the like button, subscribe button, really helps. So please do so. For those of you who have been commenting on episodes and stuff, thank you so very much. It's been really appreciated. Let's continue to build our beautiful, baneful, and blessed coven right here in our corner of the circle.
Where, as always, we are 2 homos, 1 cauldron, but today we have a very special cauldron.
We do.
We have the Blessed Bowl of Santa Muerte.
Yes, this comes from her altar that I had for her. I guess this is kind of my version of a cauldron for her. The bowl is from Mexico. It's really nice and beautiful, and it's got this whole like mother of pearl effect that's really pretty.
It is. It's very pretty.
I keep her blessed marijuana, her blessed weed in there. And if I need to use it for cauldron burning petition purposes, then I will use it for that as well. Obviously, I will take her weed out of it. Right. But yeah, we just thought, why not? Obviously, we are decorated for Dios de los Muertos.
Yes.
We did the classic Wheel of the Year this first season.
We did.
And it's time for a change and time to explore other
themes.
Yeah. Because there's so many other things out there that are pagan, Indo-European, colonized, synchronized, adopted, whatever. Different things that are out there, different traditions. And we thought, why not explore all of them?
Exactly.
So
come on this journey with us in our new season, as we are about to be getting into even more weird and spooky shit.
Yes, as always. Why? Because you gotta stay spooky.
Exactly.
Even though it's kind of hard to read it right now because we've got our Calavera and we have our skeleton Calavera Gato right there. Yeah, our Gato Muerto.
Yeah, our Gato Muerto.
So, yeah, but it still says stay spooky. And of course, Sam is still festive for the spooky season.
He's always festive.
He is always festive. All right, so let's just dive right in because we have so much going on. Oh yeah, obviously, wait, we're like missing so much. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, obviously we are still going to deal with Samhain.
Yes.
That's going to be a fun little number. And then obviously we're going to get into the meat of Dios de los Muertos.
Yes.
The intersection of that and Santa Muerte, kind of briefly, not too in-depthly, but just enough of how she comes in with Dios de los Muertos. Delicious Witch, where we're going to be making a very traditional, but with a Marcus James Delicious Witch spin on a classic Dios de los Muertos dish, which is carnitas de mole, or mole carnitas. And that's going to be delicious with spellcraft, which is going to be perfect for the spooky holiday Halloween season. And then we are diving into our replacement of Pagan Invasion.
Yes, which will be much more fun this time going forward.
Yes, it will be. And then Witchy Media Review, which will be the film The Old Ways, which is going to kind of cross the bridge of both the witchcraftness and Dios de los Muertos and Santa Muerte all into one beautiful, fun, spooky, scary movie where traditional witches, healers are the heroes.
Yay!
So
I can't wait to dance with those spooky, scary skeletons.
I know. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
All right.
All right.
So let's dive right into witchcraft in the news.
All right, so I'm going to be starting us off today. So this story, well, I guess it's not really a story so much as an event. But this event comes out of Georgia.
Okay.
Where I used to live for a while, and I may have left my heart.
Yes.
So this is out of the Metro Atlanta area, at the Chattahoochee Nature Center. They do Halloween hikes.
Oh, cool.
And they've been doing it for going on 40 years now. This is their 40th annual. It is basically a Halloween-themed hike within the park.
Okay.
It's really cool. It highlights different, like, cultural spooky season experiences. Such as, like, Samhain is featured, as well as Dia de los Muertos is featured as well as just classic American Halloween.
Sure, yeah.
They've got games, a fire pit, crafts, really, really cool. So you can wander into the nighttime forest on the Halloween Hikes Trail. You can be kind of introduced to the mammals and the amphibians that live in the wildlife area as well.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. And then you can go on a hike. You can embark on a haunted quest.
Ooh.
Which is an immersive scavenger hunt set on the night of Samhain.
Ooh.
So if you participate in that, you get to explore the shadowed forest, solve eerie clues, and outsmart mischievous spirits with the Will-o'-the-Wisp serving as the guide.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool.
That is.
So yeah, if you are in the Metro Atlanta area, if you know what the Marta is, hit that up.
That is awesome.
I would definitely do that if I were still there.
Love that. Well, off to Ireland, and I gotta warn you, my Witchcraft in the News segment is gonna be a few trips back to Ireland. So Ireland is really trying to push the home of Halloween. It's a new tourist campaign put on by the tourist board to really boost that economy and boost that heritage and that claim to fame, because it's true, and we will get into that when we talk about Samhain more. And we did talk about it in our first episode ever.
But that was so long ago.
So long ago, and not near as polished as we are now.
Not at all.
Not to say we're polished, but
we're more polished
than we were. Yeah,
you know? Exactly.
So, but this comes out of Longford in Westmeath County, in, I believe, Kerry, Ireland. Let's see, Samhain, fire, folklore, and feasting in Ireland's hidden heartlands. So there was spooky excitement in Longford's Pig Market Lane on Monday last for the launch of Longford and Westmeath, Ireland, Home of Halloween initiative, which will take place in venues in both counties over the Halloween season, including the historic Hill of Usainish. For the first time, the two counties unite to create a seasonal program celebrating Samhain as its source. There in the ancient landscapes of bogs and waterways in Ireland's hidden heartlands, where they're saying where tracks and trails lead to the most sacred of locations. So there's 3 flagship festivals which form the heart of the program this year. There's Samhain on Usainish, the Dead of Night Festival throughout County Longford, and Filet na Samhain at Corley Trackway. Each is unique in style, but together they weave a story of fire, folklore, and community that is deeply rooted in its places. The festivals are the flagship features in a diverse program of 30-plus events, which total across Longford and Westmeath. From storytelling to craft workshops and haunted town tours to pumpkin patches, there's something on offer for every age and ability. So this is the first year of a 3-year initiative to establish this new shoulder season throughout the Ireland Home of Halloween campaign. Now, again, they're hoping to obviously attract overseas visitors to better understand the origins of Samhain. We're delighted to be partnered with Longford County Council with support from Fairleigh, Ireland to become, apologies if I mispronounced that. My Gaelic is usually pretty good, but I might have fucked that up. And so my apologies. To become Fairleigh to Ireland, yeah, I probably fucked that up. My apologies. To become an international celebration of Ireland as the authentic home of Halloween, said Clor Afoy David, Cathor Leash of Westmeath County Council at the launch. By working with our partners in Longford, we hope to build a distinctive program of festivals and cultural events celebrating our local heritage and communities while supporting our artists too. We are proud to have the opportunity to showcase value tourism attractions, such as the ancient ceremonial site at Usanish Belvedere House, Gardens and Park, and Dún Nasi Amity and Heritage Park, among others, with immersive storytelling, spectacles, and displays that will captivate audiences of all ages. Visitors will be invited to walk ancient trackways, explore boglands and waterways, and connect with Ireland's mythical landscape during the season where the veil between worlds grows thin. So they're hoping that by joining forces, Longford and Westmeath are building a distinctive new cultural tourism for Ireland's hidden heartlands. One that will celebrate the heritage, support the local communities, and will invite visitors to stay longer and explore deeper and stay in these parts of Ireland versus Dublin, etc. The ancient Celtic festival of Samhain has deep roots in Westmeath, and this year we will promote this rich heritage at the historic hill of Usnich, known as the sacred centre of Ireland, along with Belvedere House, Gardens and Park. So the program features firelit processions, ghostly storytelling, traditional music, seasonal food, contemporary art, and interactive performances that bring Ireland's Halloween heritage to life through both counties. For full information and schedule, see Westmeath Festivals and Events. Visit Westmeath or follow Longford Tourism or Longford County Council on social media.
Well, cool.
That is really cool.
That is really cool. So for my next story, we are staying over on that side of the pond.
Oh, okay.
Only we are now in South London.
Okay.
Where Moses Ideka is making pagan synth folk.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He lives in South London, but he has been in so many areas during his youth.
Mm-hmm.
Before the age of 18, he as well lived in Malawi, the Philippines, and Switzerland.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he definitely had kind of an eclectic experience growing up, for sure.
Yeah.
He just released an EP called Wind Songs.
Oh, okay. We'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been compared, oddly enough, to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay.
I have not personally seen that.
I have not.
He says that any similarity is coincidental. However, I can't really speak to that, not having seen it at all. So he says that the project pays homage to the summers that he would spend visiting his granddad in Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of packaged that into a sound that he's loosely described as pagan synth folk.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So basically what he said about it is that the cover is a pagan symbol for life and rebirth. I recently did a deep dive into what life was like before the Industrial Revolution and started to describe the project as pagan synth folk. I think the country's imperial history has sidelined its folklore roots. It's funny because as a mixed person, I would be oblivious to certain behaviors when I was younger, but when I went back to Cornwall as a grown-up black man, I started noticing things. Every person of color has had experiences like that, and with all of the Unite the Kingdom BS recently, it made me rethink of my own identity. I don't feel like many people around me know this, but I love Cornwall. I'm trying to bring all of South London down there. So that sounds very interesting. It's just kind of, I guess, an album about sort of walking between the lines, which is a very pagan experience as well. Yes. There is a track on the album called The Beast of Bodmin Moor, which is very much about that kind of the earth Cornwall experience that he had growing up as a little boy.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that this sounds like a fascinating album, and I'll definitely have to check out when it releases.
For sure. All right, so back to Ireland. Hopping back over to the other aisle. So my apologies. The first article I made a mention where I was like, that might be near in County Kerry, or in Kerry. It is not. This is now in Kerry. So now we're going to Kerry. So Kerry is set to host a spectacular Halloween with new pilot funding. So Kerry is set to come alive this autumn as Halloween brings festivity and folklore to the county's towns and villages. Running from October 16th to November 9th, Samhain Chiari will celebrate the county's ancient traditions with rituals, street processions, and family activities. With new funding from Fairleigh, Ireland, Home of Halloween, okay, so it's connected to the Home of Halloween pilot scheme. The program will include 3 new Samhain experiences in Tralee, Killarney, and Listowel. The events will tell the story of Kellich, the wild goddess of winter, who emerges each year to mark the end of harvest and the turning of the Celtic year. Chalice, street processions, fireworks, willow workshops, and treasure hunts will retell the ancient Celtic tradition of Kellich. A whole host of other community events will take place across the country, including Fairleigh in Kilorglin, excuse me, Halloween Howl in Kenmare, and the Sneem Storytelling Festival. Cathora Leach of Cary County Council, Councillor Michael Foley said, Samhain Kiari is about much more than celebrating our past. It's about bringing families, schools, and communities together to create new memories and experiences. Taking place over the midterm break, the festival will give children and families the chance to enjoy unique events in towns and villages right across Cary. From spectacular parades to community gatherings, Samhain Kiari will highlight the country's rich traditions while introducing new and engaging experiences for both the residents and visitors. The festival is a chance for Cary to come together, celebrate their shared heritage, and showcase the warmth and creativity of their community. So if you're there in Ireland between October 16th and the 9th of November, go check these things out.
Yes.
Like, seriously, I'm so jealous.
Oh, I know. I'd love to go.
Want to go so bad. I want to go to Ireland for Samhain and the Bram Stoker Festival, which also takes place in October, but more like beginning of October, mid-October. And then, but then also I want to go into like Oaxaca and Caputo and stuff. Or Cupolo, excuse me, for Dios de los Muertos.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Oh, God.
And Guanajuato and stuff. Like, that would be just some... I mean, yes, there are some dangerous parts, whatever, but I would love to experience Dios de los Muertos in central Mexico and stuff. Like, just, yeah.
So, interestingly, this is another to the side of the world type of story. So, Charlotte Church is running witchcraft retreats now.
I heard.
Yes. So she is running one. Well, actually, no, I misspoke. She ran one back in June of this year.
Okay.
It was specifically called Witch, which I think is an acronym. I'm not sure exactly for what the article that I was reading about it doesn't say.
Okay.
But it was for the waning gibbous moon in June. She does like candle magic and sacred art.
Go Charlotte Church.
Right, like herbal alchemy, dream work and divination, healing rituals, forest bathing. Like she gets deep with it. Like, yeah, which is very interesting because as most people know her, like
Pia Jesu.
Yeah, Pia Jesu. And her earlier works were all very Christian.
Yes.
So I'm personally very surprised to know that. I didn't know that she was witchy.
No, that's so cool.
I know. I mean, honestly, the most witchy that I was aware of her being was when she did a recording of Scarborough Fair.
Oh, yes.
Which, frankly, is on my own witchy playlist that I've got for my witchy vibes at home.
Love it.
But I did not know that she actually was a witch, so that's interesting to know. That being said, if you are going to attend one of her workshops, definitely not cheap. Prices start at £11.99 per person.
Oh.
And can go up to £3,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Although they do have a pay what you can option for lower income people. But if you are paying in full for one of her retreat weekends, it is quite expensive.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, from the things that she's described as doing on the weekends, like, I would say, like, if you have the money, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it's definitely something that would be an investment to do.
Yes.
But anyway, it's cool to learn that about her. I had no idea.
Yeah, that is really cool. All right, so back to Ireland.
Back to Ireland.
So this time we're going to find out what is going on this Halloween in County Waterford. So their Samhain Celtic Festival, has a whole thing to do in the area for Samhain. So from October 25th through November 2nd, the city and county will transform into a realm of eerie enchantment. Visitors will be able to wander through haunted history, confront forgotten spirits, and uncover the darker side of Waterford's rich past. At the city's Samhain Festival, October 25th through the 27th, there'll be a fire and shadows procession which will set the tone with torchlight puppetry and the haunting tale of Anne Dubh, Waterford's infamous female vampire who has stalked local lore for centuries. Ooh. The parade begins at the Irish Wake Museum, and then we'll move through Cathedral Square in a spectral pageant of fire and music. Alongside the parade, expect tarot readings, ghostly storytelling, candlelit concerts, and the blood-pumping monster mosh that rattles the city with gothic sounds until midnight.
It was a mosh. It was a monster mosh.
For 3 days, the Samhain Festival will take over Waterford's historic street square and quays. As dusk falls, the city becomes an open-air theater of shadows with fire dancers, roaming specters, and haunting light installations, illuminating the Viking Triangle and Cultural Quarter. There'll be market stalls brimming with fortune tellers, where you can meet with clairvoyants and things like that. There'll be a stage with music. Top 11 things to do in Waterford. Dark History Tours of Waterford Treasures takes you on a 90-minute plunge into the underbelly of the city. Okay, so it's like a dark tour.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Medieval Museum. Immerses you in shadowed vaults, relics of suffering, and centuries of death, reminding visitors that the walls themselves have witnessed plague, war, and bloodshed. the Samhain parade. Let's see, November 1st, the day after Halloween, Sporty's free parade and host another. So there'll be another parade on the 1st. The Irish Wake Museum chills with Ireland's rituals of mourning. Oh, a place for candlelight kneeling in the presence of the departed seep into every dark corner. I love that.
Me too.
An Irish Wake Museum that explores Ireland's burial traditions. I love that shit.
Oh yeah.
There's a spooky, let's see, on the Waterford Greenway, the Ballyvoyle Tunnel becomes the spooky tunnel once more. By lantern glow, hear ghost stories of the railway line, of tragic accidents and shadows that dart just beyond sight. Ooh. The Camarog Mountains, cloaked in mist and silence, are said to be home to elemental spirits. Wander there at dusk, and you may hear the banshees wail, carried on the wind, or glimpse shadowy figures among the rocks. That I wanted. Oh my god!
Cool.
I can just imagine that in my head.
Oh my gosh, I know.
At Ballysadra to more towers, the ruined Gothic follies rise like the skeletons of castles, their archways groaning in the night. Legends tell of a cruel landlord whose restless spirit haunts the woods.
Ooh.
Let's see. Halloween at Lafcadio Hearn Japanese Gardens in Tremor blends Celtic and Japanese folklore in a night of ghostly apparitions, samurai spirits, and glowing lanterns that beckon visitors deeper into the shadows of the forest. I don't need to really fucking cool.
I know, right?
Here. Let's see. The Waterford Sur Valley Railway Spooky Express carries families through eerie countryside where costume spirits appear at bends in the track. As the train rattles slowly past the dark waters of the Sur, eyes may be watching from the hedgerows. Okay, and then October 31st, Mount Congreve Gardens opens its gates after dark for the adults-only Poison and Petals Halloween tour. Here, poisonous plants are revealed in sinister detail, accompanied by folklore of witches, curses, and dark remedies, whispered under the cover of night. Booking is essential, and the tour begins precisely at 5:53 p.m., the hour of twilight. So if you're there, be there on time prompt. Families can look to Lismore Courthouse Theater, which becomes a hub of Halloween magic and mischief on October 26th. The big screen lights up with Casper, the much-loved tale of a friendly ghost. Oh my goodness. On October 29th, the theater welcomes children once more for a Halloween camp, a morning of spooky creativity, games, and crafts that let imagination take center stage. Oh, that's so cool.
That is fun.
Let's see. Beyond the list of 11 things to do, even more discover across Waterford. So in Lismore, the Courthouse Theater continues to echo with ghosts, legends, and local lore. On October 24th, Voices from the Vale invites audiences to an evening of paranormal discussion with Irish paranormal investigations. The same venue will host Whispers of the Workhouse on October 26th and 27th, bringing the stories of Lismore's long-abandoned workhouse to life through shadow and performance. Waterford's waters also take on a festive edge on the 25th of October with the Three Sisters Halloween Cruise. Departing at 1 p.m., families are encouraged to don their spookiest attire, with prizes for the best-dressed child and adult as the boat winds along the river. For those seeking more refined experience, Lismore Castle hosts a Taste of Autumn on October 16th, an evening of seasonal cookery with celebrated chef Eunice Power. Guests will enjoy a drinks reception, a flavored packed demonstration, and the chance to support the restoration of St. Carthage Cathedral with a grand raffle of unique prizes round off the night. And lastly, as the veil between worlds thins, Waterford's 1,111th year is marked not just with celebration, but with a haunting invitation to step back into its long and ghost-ridden past and listen for the voices that linger and discover why Waterford remains Ireland's true home of Halloween.
Ooh,
I wish.
That's so cool.
I fucking wish.
I know. Gosh, I would love to go do that.
Amazing. It does remind me of how in Savannah there was so much Halloween shit to do.
Oh yeah, always.
Everywhere you went, there was so much spooky shit to do during spooky season.
Oh, definitely. Although I think part of that also has to do with the fact that their pride is during October as well.
Yes,
so it's
Halloween
like
weekend.
yes. So it's those two things kind of like merging into one, you know?
And I will actually say, Tacoma, where we live, actually does have a lot of Halloween shit going on. There's a lot of haunted houses. There's a lot of ghost tours where we live, vampire tours, murder tours, underground tours. Like, there's actually is a lot going on. It's we're so spread.
Yes.
It's not, it's all there, but you kind of have to search.
Yeah.
You have to find it, you have to look it up, you have to Google it. Whereas in Savannah, it was just it's all out there.
Yeah.
You just walk out the door, it's fucking there.
Exactly. Plus, like, a lot of it was like kind of
easy to walk to and get to.
Yes, a lot of it was conglomerated into the downtown and historic district in Savannah. So it's very easy to find, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, speaking of finding things.
Yes.
I have an archaeology story.
Ooh.
Everybody take a sip of tea.
Take a sip.
So, archaeologists have discovered a 2,700-year-old temple in Turkey that may have been dedicated to a mother goddess.
Ooh, nice.
Whom we shall name in just a second.
Yes.
So this was found near the modern-day city of Denzili. The temple was built by the Phrygians, who had a kingdom in that area roughly between 1200 and 650 BCE. A prominent deity of the Phrygians was a goddess who may have been associated with fertility and nature. And I'm winding it up a little because we all know which goddess it was. So Big Mama. She was known by several names, including Mataran, Matar, and Kibali. So of course, many other cultures across the world, but including the Greeks and the Romans, also worshipped her, and her cult flourished long after the Phrygian kingdom. Phrygia's most famous ruler likely was King Minos.
Mm-hmm.
So this sacred site includes a rock monument, a sacred cave, and then twin rock idols between the two structures. That is according to an archaeologist, professor at, I'm totally going to butcher this name, but Pamukkale University, who is one of the excavation leaders. So if you go and look at the pictures, you can see that the rock idols are carved into the rock face itself, which is really cool. There's lots of libation bowls and drainage channels. Libations just refer to the pouring of liquids, which were used in ancient rituals.
And current rituals.
Yes, and current rituals as well. But going back into ancient times, it would be like poured upon the earth.
Yes.
For me now, I'm like, I just give them their libations in a glass.
Yes.
But I know some people who are more traditional do still pour upon the earth, and that's how it was going back.
Well, I had a yard. Whenever I've ever had a yard, I
Oh,
give it to
yeah.
the earth.
Oh,
But if
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have a yard, then yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When I did have a yard, yes, I would pour upon the earth as well. But I live in an apartment, so I would have to like dump it out over my balcony, you know.
Yeah.
Although I still do like if I've burnt something in the cauldron, I will like put it into the winds over my balcony. You know?
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, not my balcony, but out my window.
Yes.
I don't have a balcony.
True. So this particular site, it looks like dates between 2800 and 2600 years old, which is really cool. That is obviously very, very old. It seems like it does seem like it lasted through to the main period of Phrygian culture and power, which was the 8th through 6th centuries BCE. So this was in use for quite some time.
Yeah.
The location in a mountainous area is typical of those early Phrygian shrines.
Yes.
Attribution to fertility and the harvest was very, very prominently seen at the site, which makes it kind of the perfect story for this time of year. At the harvest,
true. No, it's true. Absolutely.
So it's very interesting seeing just those things that that show you in a sort of time capsule way, like how she was worshipped at that time. Because I think it's very different. You can read about these things and you can read about the practices, but it's very different than seeing the physical ground, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that was really interesting this week, and I love that.
Yes.
Every time there's a discovery like that, it just makes my little heart light up.
Same. So if you're wondering why I was like, yes, and you're like, yes, how does that, all this shit, the Phrygians and shit? Because I watched Bethany Hughes on BBC. If you don't know who the fuck Bethany Hughes is, I suggest downloading like BBC Select on your Prime if you have Prime, and watching you some Bethany Hughes, because like all of her series, like she's
so
like
cool.
an amazing historian and
Wonderful.
classicist, and just like holy fuck, like so. But you learn so much. So I actually, yes, a lot of the things she was telling us, yes, I was when I was saying yes, oh yeah, because I actually didn't know that, and you can too if you get BBC Select and watch Bethany Hughes.
Exactly. You weren't just feeling, oh yes.
Yeah, no, just to like be an asshole who thinks he knows everything. No. There was something she said talked about that I didn't know about, but there were things she did talk about that I have heard before because I am learned. And
That's
you can be too. Damn it. Anyway, just want to make it clear I wasn't just trying to be an asshole who was like, yes, of course. No, I actually did know some of what she was referring to. But other things I didn't. And these new discoveries obviously are things I didn't know. All right.
It's kind of like the show in general. There's so many topics that we did know about before, but we've obviously delved into more information on the topics over the course of the show. But there's also so many things that I personally had
Bless me.
Bless you. That I personally had no idea about before we started researching these episodes and doing this for you guys every new and full moon. So
It's true.
You've enriched our lives.
You have enriched our lives. So we're leaving Ireland.
Yay.
And going to England.
Again.
So calls for UK government are now in effect to pardon women executed for witchcraft in Kent. So to set the scene, July 30th, 1652, 7 women were hanged on Pendleton Heath in Maidstone, Kent. So the women, Anne Ashby, Mary Brown, Anne Martin, Mildred Wright, Susan Pickenden, Anne Wilson, and Mary Reed, have been accused by their neighbors of terrible acts, including bewitching to death a 10-day-old baby, the child's mother, and a 3-year-old. Several were claimed to have carnally known the devil in exchange for their monstrous powers. So a lot of those women, of course, are still in the books for the crime of witchcraft, and their name is sullied. So the leader of Maidstone Borough Council has written to the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, calling for new laws to pardon the Pendant and Heath women and all others historically convicted of witchcraft. These historic acts of murder cannot be undone, but those women could be granted a general pardon, wrote Stuart Jeffrey, the leader of Lib Dem Green Co. Lead Council. The Home Office has yet to respond. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hopefully it gets pushed through, and I just think everyone who is convicted of witchcraft should just fucking get pardoned already. Like, it's so stupid that people are even still convicted of this shit.
Oh, I know.
Not to say that it wasn't all legit in some cases, that they didn't actually convict witches for witchcraft, for doing witchy things and witching around. But by and large, they didn't. They convicted other pious Christians for the most part. So hopefully this all they finally can just do this.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Well,
I have no more travels to take us on.
No, neither do I. I think that's it for witchcraft in the news.
Yes, it is.
But that's not entirely true.
Oh.
We do have,
one
more journey, one more to go. And you're going to come along with us.
We are.
Obviously, we're going to talk about Dios de los Muertos. Look at our fucking altar, our ofrenda for this. Yes, I will say this is my beautiful skinny lady.
Yes.
So, as well as right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get more into that. But this was all very much sanctified and purified before they left the altars and came to the table to be a part of this. We do have offering for her. All of this was cleansed and sanctified for her. And again, we'll get into that a little later. But right now,
let's hop on our broomsticks and you guys can follow us.
yes, and we'll get on to talk about Samhain. But we need a more fitting location.
We do.
And attire. All right, so we're now dressed.
We are. We're dressed and ready to witch.
So come with us back through time to the fires of Samhain. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Well, now we are here in a more appropriate Samhain setting.
Yes. We've gone back to 3,500 years.
We have Halloween treat ourselves.
We are now in ancient Ireland, 3,500 years ago, on October 31st, the night of Samhain.
Woo!
It's 3,500 years ago on October 31st. We're in the Irish wildlands, the moors, and it is Samhain.
It is. We are at the Witch's New Year.
Yes. As we said, we wanted to talk about Samhain and get that out of the way, and what better place than right here in Ireland, thousands and thousands of years ago before Christianity came about.
Exactly. That's the best time.
It really is. So on this night of mystery and of magic and of new beginnings, possibilities, and hunkering down for the winter, dark times, the ancient Celtic people would gather with their priests and their druids, and predictions would be made, offerings and sacrifice of animals and vegetables, and the harvest would be given back to the goddess, to the earth, as a way of, she had given up so much of her bounty to the people that it was only fitting to return some of it back as a thank you. And once this was done, the druids would read the future, the fortunes of the towns and the clans and the people and the villages in the entrails, the burnt entrails of the sacrifices. Of course, spirits would be roaming, turnips would be carved, and lit, just so many wonderful things.
Yes, I believe there was a tradition in some parts of that area where they would count the embers flying up from the fires, and that would represent the number of new livestock who would be born in the spring.
Correct. Yes, that's very true.
Yes.
They would also do something similar during the Yuletide as well.
Yes.
Another, which back in the time, Samhain and Yule, winter solstice, were very much the same.
They were, yes.
Kind of how Halloween and Christmas kind of are the same in so many ways as well.
That's true.
Yeah, so as we know, as so many of us know, once Christianity came to, before Christianity came anywhere, in Rome.
Yes, in Rome, so they would observe the festival of Pomona, named for the goddess Pomona.
Yes.
Who was the goddess of bounty, the harvest, apples, all of that kind
Yes.
of like very things of this time of year. So similarly, they would also have a great many fires, lots of wine, dancing,
bobbing for apples, fortune telling
yes.
with apples. A lot of the things that became Halloween,
Exactly.
parties, parlor games, celebrations, etc. Especially ones involving apples. find their relation to this ancient festival of Pomona.
Exactly.
Also, in Missouri, there is a Pomona, Missouri.
Oh, really?
And I like to imagine, I want to write a fictional witchy story sometime about it, but I like to imagine, I'm sure it's very Bible Belt,
Right.
Missouri, but I like to imagine that it is a place where you go and they still worship the goddess Pomona
Oh my
and
gosh,
celebrate
I would
Pomona.
love that. Oh my gosh.
So I want to write something where that
If it
happens.
is the case.
Watch
Yes.
someone's watching from Missouri, from Pomona, and they comment on the video and they're like,
We do
we do celebrate and honor Pomona here. I'm like, oh my god.
So if you are in Pomona, please let us know if that is the truth.
Yes, please do. But then of course the Christians came and decided to piss on everything, as always.
As they do.
And began the Great Conversion, by will or by force.
Mostly by force.
Yes. Now they realized quite quickly that a lot of these liminal rites celebrations of the dead, of course, once we return to the present to talk about Dios de los Muertos, we will get into all of that and what they did over in the Mesoamerican world, the Catholic Church and everything. But what they're doing here right now, 3,500 years ago in Ireland, they will reenact later. They're going to use this as a blueprint for what they're going to do later in Mesoamerica. But they came and, when they realized smartly that they couldn't get to stamp out all of this dark celebration altogether, what they did is they went and they would find these sacred sites where people were worshiping, whether it was a grove, a tree, a river, a lake, or a stone temple, and they would consecrate it to Jesus.
Yeah.
And then they would encourage the people to still continue to come and celebrate as they were, but to do
but
so.
This time it's for Jesus.
Yes, but do so in the name of Jesus.
Right. I mean, it's sort of similar to how they slapped a more Christian meaning on each of the pre-existing observances and holidays because they knew that people were not going to cease to celebrate as they had always done. They needed to put a different meaning upon those things. Exactly.
And so then, of course, famously, we know about the Puritans.
Yes.
And when they came, of course, they were an offshoot of a branch that had already broken off, which was the Church of England, which had broken off from the Catholic Church.
Yes.
And that was still, which was then at that time would have been Anglican or Presbyterian. They still saw as too Catholic and Samhain was too pagan, or Halloween was too pagan. So when they came to the Americas, the United States, of course, we famously know that they celebrated nothing.
No.
They certainly didn't celebrate Halloween because it was evil, and that was the night when devils roamed, and you just didn't get near it. You didn't do All Hallows Eve, you didn't do All Saints Day or All Souls Day. They didn't do any of it.
No.
But that wasn't the case everywhere.
Oh no, certainly not. So in the southern colonies, which were predominantly Catholic, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day was very much still celebrated. And that tradition really carried through across the centuries.
Yes, and what they had back then was a very much adult Halloween party.
Yes.
With still a lot of the games and things that we associate with Halloween today, they did then, and they called them play parties. And they survived, for a good couple of centuries down in the southern states, where they were mostly Anglican, mostly Catholic, Presbyterian, and just didn't really worry about having a little harmless spook.
Exactly, and it's interesting to see that tradition specifically of having kind of adults-only Halloween parties is something that, although it's taken on certainly a life of its own, it's something that has endured through to the present day.
Oh, it's true. And what's so funny is, as you'll see as we go through the centuries, that was something that kind of found its way in a resurgence in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Because, once we got to the Victorian era and once we got to World War I, Halloween really became all about the children. But before that, we had a lot of mischief. We had Devil's Night, which was the night before October 30th. And, famously, you'd have very creative, elaborate pranks of, children sneaking and putting all of your outdoor furniture up on top of your roof.
Exactly.
And then, you wake up in the morning and it's all up there. Of course, famously, TPing your home with toilet paper, or other pranks. But, there were also some deadly pranks that took place in, the early 1900s.
Which I think was a big part of sort of pushing Halloween towards the children. Was because these Devil's Night pranks were turning violent, were turning deadly, and they wanted to kind of do a rebrand of Halloween.
Yes, and really rein it in.
Yes.
Then, of course, once that happened and you had the boomer generation, the baby boom,
Yes.
there was just this overflow of children. And how were they going to get them into play? Well, they would have local Halloween parties.
Yes.
And what would happen is all the kids would go to the Halloween party in town, and that's where they would like play and whatever. And these usually ended about 9 o'clock.
Right.
And they would always have a local radio station hosting. Well, the local everyone who went to the party would check in and put in write down their number and put their number in a fishbowl, name and number. And the only way you would win is if you were home, because they would call about 9:30, so an hour after, so a half hour after the community party ended.
If you were not home to accept the call, you did not win. They
Exactly.
went to the next person.
So that's how they ensured that kids went straight home after the Halloween party.
Yes.
And it really did Halloween, as we know, cartoons were made, Monster Vitamins,
Yes.
Monster Cereal, Count Chocula, Boo Berry, etc., Frankenberry.
Oh, I miss those Monster Vitamins.
Right?
I need to be able to go to the store and buy myself my entire range of like 6 supplements that I have to take, but they're all Monster Vitamins.
Yeah. It wasn't until the 70s, 80s, and 90s, especially because of the liberation of the gay community,
Right.
especially during the disco era, where gay kind of went mainstream almost, where people started really seeing like the fun of dressing up and costuming.
Oh,
and
yeah.
of course, straight people eventually take that on,
Right.
or the majority of people becomes thing, and that's that. And they take on Halloween again, and it becomes not just a child thing, but an adult thing.
Yeah. Just as they always were meant to be.
Right. Now, of course, it hasn't been without its downside.
No.
In the 70s and 80s, unfortunately, Devil's Night was kind of
resurged
in Detroit, and every night, the night before Halloween, October 30th, well, it kind of would start like the 27th, kind of the days leading up to Halloween, Devil's Night. A lot of the, unfortunately, derelict abandoned homes and buildings throughout Detroit would be set on fire, and it was just a horrible hassle. And then, of course, you had people poisoning the candy.
Yeah.
And, of course, it was always a relative or a family friend.
But it was never just people going to the store and poisoning the candy on the shelf.
Yeah, no. But it did have repercussions for a very long time, where for like 20 years, people were having their candy x-rayed, checking for razor blades, throwing things out, etc. And gladly that does not persist. Really, it's not really a thing to worry about.
No.
Of course, most people aren't even trick or treating anymore.
That
it's not really
true.
even...
Yeah. I feel like a lot of neighborhoods do those like trick or treat events at like community parks or something, but people, by and large, I mean, with the exception of a couple of places certainly, but by and large, people aren't really knocking on strangers' doors anymore.
They're not. Well, a lot of times because if you're the wrong skin color or something, you'll get shot in the face. But we digress. And of course you have, scary movies, or, just horror films, and all these things that have led to persisting with the times more fiendish, spooky side.
Yes.
But I think we all love it, right?
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, I think as witches especially, this time of year is so sacred and so special.
It really is. I mean, it's just a time that it's so easy to connect with not only the excitement of the new year for yourself, but with the history of our foremothers and fathers as witches.
Exactly. So, obviously, like you said, we did Samhain last year. We're not going to do too much of Samhain this year because we have Dios de los Muertos to get to. But we hope that you enjoyed this little trip back into the past. And could we join us around an ancient fire?
Yes.
Cloaked out and sewed out.
Always.
And please join us back in the present for Dios de los Muertos and Blessed Samhain.
Blessed Samhain.
All right.
All right. Time to hop on our broomsticks.
All right. Well,
that was fun.
That was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Had a good time around the fire.
I know we did.
But now with Samhain out of the way, let's get back to Dios de los Muertos.
Yes. Just hang up our
cloakies
here.
So finally,
yes.
Dios de los Muertos. Samhain's out of the way. We did that. That was fun. Now we're back to the colorful party.
Exactly. Just as it is in the times of the year.
Yes.
We moved from Samhain into Dia de los Muertos.
Yes, and now we're doing it here. Of course, many of you are probably familiar with it, with Dios de los Muertos, thanks to films like Coco.
Yes.
And it's not as known or as really embraced, celebrated film, earlier predecessor, 2014's The Book of Life. not gonna lie, I tried to watch that. I did not enjoy it. Coco is beautiful and magical and wonderful. Book of Life, I get why it didn't catch on when it originally came out. I'm sure other people feel the same way. If you love the Book of Life and that is one of your favorite movies, please enjoy it.
Exactly. But don't make us.
No. So as I said before, the skinny lady is with us. She is celebrated on Dios de los Muertos. I believe it's on the first night, or well, second night, November 1st. But that is not an official day of hers. But it is how she is celebrated. It's one of the nights. Just like HEKA-TEA is also celebrated on Samhain, right. And there's like that's not an official night for her. But why would you not celebrate HEKA-TEA on Samhain?
True.
So it's just kind of like a no-brainer situation.
Right.
And then yes, this is actually technically not a Santa Muerte. It's a Catrina. But Santa Muerte liked it. We gave it to her. My partner and I, as a thank you to her for her bringing us together. Excuse me. So it is sacred to her, and it is her now. And it does represent, has always represented for me, as soon as I saw it, it represented her bounty. And it's her. So they both had to be out here. And she has her red wine because specifically for Niña Roja, the red lady. This is a rainbow Santa Muerte. This is all the 7 colors. So this kind of, you can use this to like dial all of her dresses.
Right.
So right now, we just wanted some love around all of this and for all of you watching. So we invoked Niña Roja, gave her some beautiful red wine. And we don't have any pan de muerte or muerto, which is the bread, which Evan will get into, including the recipe. But we don't have any of that right now, and I want to make that involve yeast and a bunch of other. I just didn't have time to deal with that. So we have biscoff.
Yes.
On her offering tray.
It's pan de something.
It is. Pan de cookie.
Yes.
Butter cookie. Anyway.
And I think that she would still enjoy that.
Oh, I know she does. She loves them. Let's kick off. Evan, take us through time.
Okay, so basically, let me get into some kind of basic overview information first. So as we mentioned, Dia de los Muertos goes from November 1st to the 2nd, kind of shifting from October 31st all the way through the 2nd of November.
Yeah.
So the first day, November 1st, is to honor children who have departed, while the second day, November 2nd, is to honor departed adults.
Yes.
So obviously this is a time to honor the deceased through the use of altars. However, it is also a very festive and celebratory time.
It really is.
It is not sad and somber.
No.
It is a party.
Yes. There can be moments.
Yes, certainly moments of sadness, moments of missing them, especially if that is one of your closest loved ones.
Yes.
However,
and if it was recent too.
Yes, if it was recent.
But it is a celebration.
Yes, it is a time to celebrate their lives.
Yes.
And everything that they meant to you.
Yeah.
So traditionally, it has been more commonly observed by working class people.
Mm-hmm.
Although, just like we mentioned with movies like Coco, it has also seen some growth in observance among recent years amongst people of various socioeconomic classes.
Yeah.
In part, actually due to the cultural shift caused by movies such as Coco or the James Bond movie Spectre from 2015. Spectre shows James Bond walking through a Dia de los Muertos festival in Mexico City.
Yes.
And interestingly, the city itself had its first Dia de los Muertos festival in 2016, so a year after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, this festival has grown and exploded in size and attendance.
Was it the first festival or the first parade?
The first parade.
Okay, because I was like, I know they've had festivals.
No, they had festivals, but like it wasn't like a grand
parade.
scale
Yeah, it was
parade.
much more religious and family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I'm saying festival as in this whole like big like
the big shindig that you now expect to see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, people were observing Dia de los Muertos, but it was not this big party through the streets.
Right.
You know. But after the movie, that kind of changed.
Right.
And now it's become this huge event in Mexico City. It takes place in Zocalo Square.
Mm-hmm.
There's a parade, costumes, face painting, like the works.
Love that.
So I think that's really cool, and I would actually, that's kind of my bucket list now. I would love to go to the Mexico City Dia de los Muertos shindig.
Yes.
So going back, it is a hybrid tradition. Obviously, Mexico was a place that had some Spanish colonization going on.
Yeah.
So with that, there was kind of a merging of both of their traditions.
That darn synchronicity again.
Exactly.
Or mutual appropriation.
Yes. So it combines indigenous rituals concerning death with Catholic practice. Involves veneration of ancestors, which has always been central to so many people's religious practice, along with the worship of death deities coming from the Maya and the Mixtec and the Aztec. cultures and traditions. So traditionally, there were special days of the week, or on occasion a whole month dedicated to death deities.
Yes.
Now August was dedicated to Mikta-Ketsi-Wato, and he will get into her
Yes.
in a little more detail. But just briefly, she was the goddess of death who presided over the underworld with her husband.
Mhm.
She was depicted as a skeletal figure, and often depicted with her mouth open, which symbolized her ability to swallow the stars and brighten the day, which I just think is so very beautiful.
I do too.
You know.
She's a Dawnbringer.
She is.
Dawnbringer, just like
Just like
HEKA-TEA.
HEKA-TEA, yes. And we often talk about how many similarities we see between the two of them. So we just always get excited when we find those moments, you know. So post-colonization, all of the Aztec deities essentially became married or kind of associated with Catholic saints.
Right.
However, specifically with Mikta-Ketsi-Wato, the Catholic Church suppressed her worship and ended up moving her feast day from August to coincide with their All Saints and All Souls Day,
Yes.
which at that time they were in the process of creating. Like this was a new thing, so they kind of
Just like what they did, trying to
pushed her
echo
off,
what they had
basically.
done in Europe with Ireland and UK and stuff in terms of conversion.
Yes,
They were
exactly.
now taking those methods into Central, South, and Southern North America and doing it there.
Exactly. Like the Spanish colonization of Mexico was 100% an attempt to replicate the evangelism that they had done in Europe.
Yeah.
There was the same tearing down the pagan temples, forcing the conversion to Catholicism. So Pope Boniface IV established All Saints Day to honor saints and martyrs,
Mhm.
and then shortly after established All Souls Day, which honored the dead who were baptized Christians.
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction, that it was only to honor those who were baptized.
Yes.
You know.
Well, it's to scare you in, because then it's
Mhm.
like, well, if you don't become a Christian and get baptized, then you're going to end up in hell, and so no one's going to remember you once you go.
Exactly.
You're going to be fucked.
Exactly. I mean, I think so much of Christianity, and we see this throughout the centuries, is really rooted in fear.
Oh yeah,
you know?
exactly. So a little bit more to get into. So we have to remember, like in a lot of pre-Christian faith traditions all over the world, just like in Ireland and UK, throughout Europe, or way before Christianity, all the realms coincide. Just as we are with witches, we have one foot in one realm, one foot here.
Exactly.
We're always on the liminal. We're hedging, as the kids now say.
Yes.
And they all lived like that, right? That's how they all lived. Anywhere you went, that's what the pagan world was. That's what pagans are. And so for the Aztecs, the famous saying is the Aztecs said that for them, life is just a dream, and only in death are we actually truly awake. And that really encapsulates the Aztecs and most indigenous, Mesoamerican cultures.
Right.
That was basically how that was. So, of course, as we talked about, the goddess of death, and I apologize, I am dyslexic, I have a speech issue, so my apologies on the pronunciation. Mikta-Quatl, Mikta-Quatl, there we go, goddess of death. I can't speak. Wait, can I talk?
Mikta-Ketsi-Wato.
Mikta-Ketsi-Wato. But it is. My apologies. Mikta-Ketsi...
Sorry.
Damn dyslexia. Okay. Mikta-Ketsi... I can't. Goddess M.
Lady M.
Lady M. Goddess of Death, Lady M. Mikta-Ketsi-Wato was given the month of August, and this will kind of kick off how we get specifically to August 15th, by the way. My birthday, feast day of Santa Muerte, kind of officially the original feast day, and how that happened. Anyway, so for the Aztecs, in Oaxaca, the Zapotecs and the Mixtecs had an elaborate construction of life after death, including a 13-level heaven and a 9-level underworld. The god of death, Mictlantecuhtli, there we go, together with his consort, Lady M, ruled Mictlan, which was the lowest level of the underworld. The goddess Lady M, who is obviously immortal, she's also a shapeshifter, and would frequently change her appearance at will from benevolent to monstrous. Her charge is to guard the skeletons of the dead, as we talked about, and govern the festivals honoring the dead. So there is a direct line right there from her to Dios de los Muertos. Over time, she gradually became the personification of death itself, as well as the agent through whom the preserved bones of the dead provided the source of life for the next world. And unlike the Christian conquerors, the Aztecs believed, again, that death was part of an endless cycle of life. Now, Lady M thus developed a dual identity associated with both death and life, which became associated with healing and benevolence, much, of course, like now with Santa Muerte.
Right.
The Aztecs, of course, just like with Santa Muerte, appealed to her to promote their health and delay their death. So the pair, both her and her husband, were often shown overseeing scenes of sex, fertility, pregnancy, and birth. So Now, as Evan mentioned, before the Spanish arrived, she was the patron of the month of August, which was an entire celebration of death. That, for them, the month of August was when that would happen. Now, they arranged the Spanish arranged to have the Catholic Church exorcise her from Mexico in itself, which I think is so ridiculous.
Yes.
That they actually to exorcise her from like the lands, because they thought that she was inflicting the power of Satan. Like, the extent that they went to erase deities is like, we need to have permission to have her exercise. Like, it's just so stupid. And now when the Spanish arrived, to explain death to them, they brought images of the Grim Reaper, which there with the scythe, being a male, it all just, they kind of, at that point kind of merged both husband and wife together as one deity. And then when they saw the Grim Reaper, okay, well now death carries the scythe. That obviously was not the goal of the Catholics, of the Spanish, but that is what happened when they showed them the Grim Reaper. So now with Santa Muerte and Dios de los Muertos in general, so while the cult of Santa Muerte re-emerged in the mid-20th century, and then mostly stayed out of sight until the 1990s, she was referred to by Spanish soldiers and clergy writings from the 1580s and in the 1770s, warning against the persistence of her worship among the indigenous and rural peoples. And anthropologists and archaeologists see her ancestry completely to Mixtec. Like, Lady M. So now how do we get to August 15th specifically? Okay, so Robert Nixon, who's a Benedictine friar from London, based his book, which came out in 2022, The Venerable Doña Sebastiana de Caso, the original Santa Muerte, which was based on the works of Jacinto Morán de Butrón, a 17th century Ecuadorian historian. So according to Morán and Nixon, Sebastiana's father had tried to force her into a marriage, but she prayed to death directly to rescue her, and apparently death did respond. And Sebastiana contracted a fever and died. So then people began to venerate Sebastiana, who was born on August 15th, the feast day of Santa Muerte, and a society known as La Congregación de la Buena Muerte sprang up in her honor. So the Spanish Catholic conquerors, of course, were having none of this. They were like Great White, and Great White said, I will have none of this. And
they literally are Great White.
So they tried to suppress her. Santa Muerte went underground, of course, and this led people to believe that Santa Muerte was a modern phenomenon.
Right.
But again, we know that she was not. This was explained by anthropologists, the theory of bricolage, which, to explain, they would now use the term synchronicity, but it's the same thing. It describes the blending of disparate cultural practices into something new. And again, when the Spanish arrived, they brought that image of the Grim Reaper to explain death to the natives. And now she carries a scythe. This connection of imagery was of Danse Macabre, the Grim Reaper, and the Archangel Uriel, the Archangel of Death. And in the past few decades or so, the popularity of Santa Muerte and her worship has forced the Catholic Archdiocese in Mexico to issue warnings about keeping her out of Dios de los Muertos. Now, again, also in Argentina, I believe, there is Santo Muerto, which is a male Santa Muerte, and he is also venerated on August 15th, due, I'm sure, to, again, Sebastiana, August 15th, praying to death to get out of this, and death comes and kills her. So that is how we get then whittled down August 15th. That is when she was venerated. And now it seems more, once she sprung back up again in the 80s and 90s, that she started getting venerated as well on the evening of November 1st, Dios de los Muertos. And that, people pilgrimage out to Tepito in outside of Mexico City, and which is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods like on the planet. And pilgrimage all over the world, far and wide, to this place, to Doña Queta's shrine to Santa Muerte, and it's like a big thing. And if it wasn't so dangerous, I would love to go. And you know what? I trust in the skinny lady that she would protect me. And I lived in a border town and went to Juarez all the time, which is like hardcore narco, fucking trafficking, fucking disappearances, fucking Santa Muerte land.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I had great times, and I went across border like all the time. And in fact, I miss it. And in researching for this episode, it made me miss so many things.
Oh, me too.
So there you go. That's how we get Santa Muerte as my birthday, and the HEKA-TEA being the feast day. But again, when in August this year, like we talked about, I think we'll actually do Santa Muerte this August, and we'll talk more about how she synchronizes in other ways with HEKA-TEA, including the number 7. Yeah. And August 15th, obviously.
Great.
And so there you go.
Okay, so kind of back to the actual observances of Dia de los Muertos itself, and what goes down. So firstly, I really want to say that there is such a belief in a superstition that if the dead are not honored on this day, they will fuck you up.
Yes, they will fuck you up.
Yes, so they can wreak havoc on the living with bad luck, all of that kind of thing.
Sickness, disease,
exactly. Death. So people go all out to give them what they need.
Yes.
So these can be things like flowers, especially marigolds.
Yes.
Food and drinks that they liked in life.
Yes.
Sugar candy skulls and pan de muerto. These are eaten at the grave sites where the ofrendas are built.
Yes.
So sugar candy skulls are made using molds filled with a mixture of granulated sugar, butter, meringue powder, and food coloring, also decorated with sequins and other things like that. Not always edible.
No.
But so sugar art in general was brought to the New World by Italian missionaries around the 17th century. Mexicans learned from friars how to make them. And it's just been a tradition that has carried on so many years and centuries, all the way up until today. So small skulls in Dia de los Muertos represent the children, while the larger ones represent the adults who have been lost over. I mean, I was going to say over the year, but it's not necessarily just that year, of course. So there will also be altars in the home, as well as altars in businesses and schools. They will typically be multi-level, representing the earth, heavens, and the underworld. They'll include pictures of loved ones to kind of encourage them home, marigolds and candles to light their way. There will be a white tablecloth, typically with papel picado, cut paper, salt and water to kind of like quench their thirst after the long trip. Incense, usually a copal incense.
Yes, which is also sacred to Santa Muerte.
Yes, it is. That is her preferred jam.
It represents the blood of the earth, the blood of the copal tree. It represents blood itself. She really loves copal.
Yes, she does. And we love it for her.
Yes, and in fact, earlier when sanctifying the space, the incense was copal.
Yes. So papel picado represents the air, and it is a tradition coming from the Aztecs. Traditionally, they would cut bark paper and decorate them for the gods. And that carried over into, across the centuries into like decorating and cutting tissue paper for the dead. I always love to see those things that you can really trace the roots of where it began and trace it into like the modern day usage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's very interesting. So of course, on October 31st, leading up to the observance of Dia de los Muertos the next day, the graves will be cleaned and lavishly decorated. Families will bring picnics and spend the evening having an all-night vigil, telling stories, singing songs at the graves. Very much just honoring and representing their ones who they have lost. So in Mexican folklore, the monarch butterfly represents the souls of the adults who are returning, while if you see a white butterfly, those represent souls of children. Dia de los Muertos, the festival, the observance itself, begins at the end of the annual butterfly migration, and at the beginning of their arrival to the butterfly sanctuaries in Mexico. So they're everywhere. Imagery connected with Dia de los Muertos features butterflies heavily for this reason, of course. So a couple of traditions in specific locations, in Cuanajo, in Michoacan, which I'm sure that I'm mispronouncing.
You did a pretty good job on that, actually.
I did? Okay, great. So there is a large wooden horse statue that's erected every year in the main plaza of the city. Every year for Dia de los Muertos, it's decorated with flowers and fruits, all of the just the things that you would normally see on the ofrenda. That all goes on the horse, and it's just like a central focal piece in the middle of the city, and it's just very beautiful. Now, of course, the celebration for Dia de los Muertos is more complicated during the year of the person's death. So, like, if that person has died within that year, the cooking is just like more off the chain, really. It goes on for several days prior to the festivities. So that's it's taken up a notch if that person has been lost within that same year and it's their first time making that trip from the underworld. That being said, let me get into a little bit about the process of basically what happens. So basically the spirits start making their journey at 3 p.m. on October 31st. People will ring bells to call them home. Typically that will be young people, children. They will ring the chapel bells constantly through the day and night, starting at 3 p.m. to kind of help lead the deceased home. The family builds their arches out of marigolds because that becomes a portal that the deceased ones can come through. Now, of course, others in the community, relatives, everyone, they all come and bring offerings. Everyone has a small bowl of pozolito, which is a stew or a soup made of pork and veggies, which is kind of like our mole.
It is actually.
So the ofrenda has totems of all the elements. The marigolds are used for two reasons. One is their strong scent to lure the dead, similar to the pan de muerto. Candles also light the way. Marigolds are strewn on the floor in a pathway because they will glow in the dark for the spirits and guide them to the altar. Now, as we mentioned, people will offer them water to drink, the copal incense, which was used by the Aztecs and is still sacred to Santa Muerte.
That represents wind on the altar.
Exactly.
The element of wind.
As does the papel picado. I'm sure the incense wafts through and it just creates like a magical wind.
Yeah.
You know? So this time of year, in many cultures,
Yes.
but also in this one, definitely, celebrates the harvest. So
Mhm.
there will be squash, chile, beans, corn, just things of the harvest, of those
The
root
bounty,
vegetables,
yeah.
yes, of the earth. Will all go on the altar, as well as chocolate on the altar.
That's really important.
Yes,
chocolate, hot chocolate, very important.
Exactly. Chocolate and the pan de muerto.
Mhm.
I mean,
Another essential.
I mean, am I a dead person? Because I also love me some chocolate and bread.
Right, exactly. Especially with covered with some sugar.
Exactly. So families will usually start preparing for these festivities at least a month in advance. It often requires a lot of saving up to get all of these things that are necessary. As well, there will be fruits, bananas, nuts, peanuts, cockscomb flowers, squash. I find this interesting, but marigolds have a natural insecticide.
Yes. I found that. I had no idea.
I didn't either.
No one ever has ever told me that. I don't even know how many people actually do know that.
I did not know that at all.
Whether they just use the marigolds for spiritual purposes,
Mhm.
and magical purposes, or if they also do know about the insecticide purpose.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever mentioned. I've never had that mentioned to me, and no one I know has ever talked about it. So I just think.
Oh
it's so
yeah,
interesting.
I didn't know it either. I honestly thought it was just for that bright color to light the way.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting that it has that additional purpose as well.
Yeah.
So on November 1st, the incense is offered to the gods.
Mm-hmm.
And the front door is open and the incense put out to let the spirits in. They start arriving at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So most people of the middle and upper classes, like I touched on a little bit earlier,
Right.
In Mexico do treat it like as a Halloween, like more of a party,
Oh,
blah, blah, blah.
Right,
Live
yeah.
it up on the town kind of situation. However, in more rural and lower class communities, people do take it more spiritually and somberly.
Mm-hmm.
They put on their traditional regalia, the white traditional dresses with the bright
The
floral
repeal.
stitching.
Yeah, the repeal.
The repeal, yes, I'm sorry. Misspoke. And the colorful bright braids in the hair.
Yes.
So November 2nd in the morning, the families will break down the home ofrenda
Mm-hmm.
and bring them to the cemetery to decorate the grave. The graves of the deceased, and then and prepare for the vigil for the final night of the celebration.
Yeah.
Mariachi bands will come to the graves and play the favorite songs of deceased who have passed,
Mhm.
which I think is a really cool tradition.
Yes, I do too. Sorry, I don't know why I was still wearing these.
So the vigil all night is more than about just wanting the dead or sharing the memories. It is about showing the deceased that no matter how long the walk takes, that you will wait for them,
Mm-hmm.
that you will always be waiting and remembering for them and of them, which I just think is really, really beautiful.
I agree.
So Michitlan is seen as the place without windows or doors.
Yes.
And this is why remembering and telling the story is important. Remembering ensures they continue to have a wonderful life in Michitlan.
Yes. So some of the popular images of most popular images of Dios de los Muertos, aside from the calavera, the sugar skulls, is the Catrinas and the Catrins, the man and woman in the top hat, tuxedo, and the lady in her fluffy hat and finery, sometimes in a wedding gown. They are not technically like a bride and groom in like a wedding sense, even though that's kind of how people see them or perceive them. With the Catrina, imagery of skeletons were actually reintroduced into the broader Mexican culture by political comics, most famously Jose Pescara in 1910. The Catrina's floppy hat and the Catrina's top hat, were actually modeled after the dictator Porfirio Diaz and his wife. And after the Spanish were kicked out and it became Mexico, that is when you really started seeing the Catrina and the Catrina around in the newspaper and media and stuff like that. Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo both embraced the Catrina and the Catrin in their art. There's a famous mural by Diego Rivera which features him as a child holding hands with the Catrina, and in it, and then on the other side of his hand is his mother, and it was saying that both of these were his mother. So in Capula, Mexico, potter Alvaro de la Cruz Lopez was actually first to sculpt the Catrinas out of clay and was already selling them and dedicated to himself to making them exclusively by 1983. Then other neighbors and friends started doing it as well. And then in 1990, Alvaro was invited to Chicago to the Museum of Mexican Art for an exhibition. And that is actually how the Catrinas and the Catrins were introduced to the United States and other places. And from there started popping up in shops, art collections, etc. Yeah, and actually, kind of, that's a good segue into where we are now with Dios de los Muertos in the United States, especially in the Southwest and Los Angeles, etc. It was also kind of through, but also through the arts. So just how the Catrina and the Katrina were introduced through the arts. Dios de los Muertos in itself, as a celebration in the United States, was introduced by artists. So the first Dios de los Muertos celebration was actually modern, anyways, in the U.S. was in 1972. And this was in the parking lot of Self-Help Graphics. And from there, it just grew and grew every year within the community of East LA. So there would be a parade that grew out of it from nearby Evergreen Cemetery, which would then procession to Self-Help Graphics. A progressive priest, Father Juan Romero, would at times lead a Catholic mass and dance Azteca, perform the traditional ritual dances and ceremonies of the Lady M and her husband. I'm not even going to try. So Self-Help Graphics was actually started in the garage of Sister Karen Clarero, who, with artists Carlos Bueno, Antonio Ibanez, and other artists from predominantly the East LA area, who then started coming, and others who started coming to the garage to create. So Sister Karen was part of the Order of St. Francis of Penance and Christian Charity, and they were, which because of that allowed them to receive a grant, letting them move into their first actual building on Brooklyn Avenue at the time, and which then forced Self-Help Graphics to become more of a professional run system. So Sister Karen and then other artists would have what inspired them basically to introduce Dios de los Muertos at Self-Help Graphics and into the broader community was that Sister Karen attended film class at Immaculate Heart College, and she saw the film Day of the Dead from 1957, which was a documentary by Charles and Ray Eames. And they would then later use this film around the community of East LA to explain Dios de los Muertos to people. So before this, the Chicano community of LA really didn't celebrate it, and it wasn't part of their more Anglo culture that they were had assimilated to at the time, from the 50s and 60s and so on. So Carlos and Antonio are really credited with bringing Mexican culture, imagery, tradition, and aesthetics to East LA. And one of the things is there was a lot of synchronicities that kind of happened with Dios de los Muertos entering into the East LA society and the Chicano world there of East LA was that, for example, the Chicano moratorium had just ended, which was these really oppressive laws and bans that kind of sprung out of like the Zoot Suit riots in the 1950s, and it was just like a really ugly thing. And then so it was really needed because Mexicans were really, and Mexicanos and Hispanics in general were just really encouraged to let their heritage shine and embrace it now that the Chicano moratorium had been struck down. And so it all just kind of coalesced at the same time that Dios de los Muertos came in, and it was very much needed. They say that death came to shine and be bright in their Mexican heritage, and that, death brings change, as we know from all aspects, whether in real life from death, taking someone out, or the cyclical nature of our lives. Right. And in the tarot and everything, death is always a symbol of change, of transition. So in East LA, interestingly, the pan de muerte, or the bread of the dead, is actually not found in bakeries. It is found by people making it at home or doing so within the community of East LA, and people going to different houses or stands on the street and buying them. And also in East LA, or in LA in general, actually, there is a significant Oaxacan population that still speaks the indigenous tongue of Oaxaca, and they gather at different times of the year to take part in traditional festivals and rituals, including Dios de los Muertos. Yes. I think that that's just really wonderfully incredible, but it's, and it's just really interesting to see how, like with all things, synchronicities and psychology happen, where even up to now into the Americas and through art and artists, just like with the Katrinas, which are so part of Dios de los Muertos, but really didn't even enter the conversation until 1910.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and I find it very interesting that, I think some people are really wanting to like separate the Katrinas from Santa Muerte. However, both have roots in Lady M. Correct. So I don't think it's far off to at least associate one with the other. No. I think it's important to not conflate one with the other. However, I think that the two are dancing together. Oh yeah, if you want to give Katrina, because Katrina really is a symbol. She's not even a deity. Yes. So it makes sense that, and I wouldn't even say she's not even an egregore. I wouldn't even say. Or a Toltec. I don't think that she is. I think that her imagery and the Katrina's imagery, the statues, make really good icon vessels for Santa Muerte, for Santo Muerto. Yes. Like that they
So like, because you'll see like people will gift Santa Muerte Catrinas all the time.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
different
I've
things
got
like-
one on my
Yeah,
altar.
they're wonderful, and I think they express various forms of her.
Mhm.
I want to get one that's in like a sultry red dress and
Ooh.
heels for Nina Roja. Like, I really want to find Catrinas that really exemplify different aspects of her colors.
Oh,
And
that would be so beautiful.
and people do that, and I
Yeah.
think that like, and why not? You know, yes, she is shown more humbly in her robes often, but she is vivacious and vibrant, and she has so many things
Exactly.
to her.
She deserves and wants and enjoys to dress up in her finery.
Exactly.
You know?
So I think Catrinas are perfect examples, or are perfect vessels and
Yes.
tools to represent Santa Muerte, and the Catrins are perfect for Santa Muerte. Like they're perfect. Like and yes, again, you can gift them and say, I'm gifting this as a representation of you on the altar or whatever, or you can have it around your house, and for you that is the meaning, and it has special significance. Like this one's particular with the gourds and everything holds personal meaning and significance for myself and for my partner. So that is why when the light shone down upon her as our gift to her, our yearly gift of thanks to her, this is what we picked. But the pumpkin holds significance, and that's meaningful to us personally in our relationship. So if you find one that does, then that's totally fine. Or honestly, if you worship hell,
right,
you know, or HEKA-TEA, or whoever, any type of death deity who's female or male, and the Catrina or the Catrina, you know, the one that you find speaks to something that represents that, that's fine.
Exactly.
Just always know, of course, where it comes from in terms of culture,
Mm-hmm.
so you understand the significance of that, but also that you don't conflate and be like, oh, this was made as a representation. No, it's just you found significance in it to use as representation.
Right.
So
it's all about your own personal representation, really.
It really is.
Just like so many things in witchcraft and pagan faith.
Right. And personal gnosis. It's all a lot of personal gnosis.
Exactly, that's true.
So, without further ado, let's get on over to Delicious Witch, where we're taking care of all of your Dios de los Muertos feasting needs.
Exactly.
For you and your guests, whether living or deceased.
Exactly.
So, for this Dios de los Muertos Delicious Witch, we are doing mole carnitas, or carnitas al mole, which is pork and mole sauce. We've got a delicious blend of vegetables, root vegetables that are important to the holiday, and it's all getting done in the slow cooker. So, this is a wonderfully slow cooker recipe. Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, me too. I love a mole.
It's going to be really delicious, and a mole is a traditional dish for Dios de los Muertos. It is a very time-consuming, complicated paste sauce base to make on its own. And it's usually only made for like special occasions, and the dead really like chocolate, and they really love all the flavors of the mole, so it's really, really important to have that. And as we stated earlier, you know, with the ofrenda, it's really important to have hot chocolate there ready for the dead. Chocolate cacao plays a very big role in Dios de los Muertos in a lot of aspects. So obviously also with the food.
Yes.
So what we have here is our, there's about 2.5 pounds of carnitas. Pork carnitas is already boneless, skinless. And then we have our marinated overnight mix of fennel, butternut squash, sweet potato, red onion, multicolored carrots, multicolored baby potatoes, etc. And I will show you how I prepared it the night before. For this mole marinade, you will need 1 bulb of fennel, preferably a large bulb of fennel, 1 large parsnip, a bag of baby carrots. It just makes it easier since it's going in the crock pot. I picked the organic rainbow baby carrots. I feel that's the most festive in fall. Bushel of green onion or scallion, 2 bowls of really good sized garlic, 2 fairly fat sweet potatoes. Keep the skin on. I mean, it's optional. You can take the skin off if you want, but the skin has added nutrients and flavor, and I think it's a pretty contrast. 1 large red onion, 1 thing of baby potatoes, preferably again mixed. This is Yukon Gold, baby red, and purple potatoes in here. I was hoping to find just purple potatoes, but that wasn't happening. But again, this is super autumnal. Of course, pork carnitas, 1 package. This is about 2.5 pounds, 2.55 pounds, a little over 2.5 pounds. Again, this is all going in the crock pot. It's going to cook down, going to get shredded, all that. Diced, but one butternut squash diced. I get a pre-done package because it's a hassle. And then I have the fresh herb poultry blend, which most of us have in our grocery stores. And this, this is sage, thyme, rosemary. Yeah, I think it's just those three. Sage, thyme, and rosemary. Lots of cilantro. The caldo de tomate de pollo. Again, optional, you can also just use a regular chicken bouillon powder, chicken paste. And then our homemade, well, not homemade, but our mole marinade. Now this is different from the mole that's going to actually be with the sauce. Then this contains the Doña Maria mole or any other mole brand that you like to use. I'm not going to try to make a mole. That's a very time-consuming, complicated thing. This product in Mexico. Don't do the Nestle brand mole, Nestle anything, because fuck them. That's greedy and not Mexico at all. So go with the Doña Maria. 2 of those, 1 for the day of, and then half of 1 to use in your marinade, along with half a can of tomato sauce. And then I did 2 teaspoons of teriyaki, a teriyaki marinade, 2 teaspoons of a barbecue sauce, just any barbecue sauce of your choice, about a teaspoon and a half of garlic paste, and about a teaspoon and a half of caramelized onion paste. And then all just blended together, salt and pepper, to make a marinade. Gonna add a little vegetable oil to our marinade, just so it'll help adhere and good browning situation going on. Don't want things sticking. Alright, so first we're gonna take care of our vegetables. Make sure you have a sharp knife. All your vegetables are been washed and cleaned. Again, some people, you can optional take off the skin on the parsnip or not. I don't really think you need to. Just get the parsnip diced up. It will cook down in the crock pot. We're gonna get a freezer bag, 1 for the vegetables, 1 for the meat. Always eat your vegetables first, that way you're not getting raw meat on the board and on your vegetables. So just load your vegetables in the bag. Bag aside. I guess we could put our butternut squash in there now because it's just in a package. That's probably the best thing to get that out of the way. They're all traditional harvest veggies, obviously, all over the world, but they are significant to Dios de los Muertos. We got carrots in there. Think of this kind of like a pot roast in a slow cooker. So you want to have a lot of veggies. More potatoes. I'm just going to split the potatoes. Next, we're going to take 1 clove of garlic and put it in there. Seen it before, I'm sure we don't know by now. Take your garlic, take the back of the knife, smash it, peel it, get your pile going, repeat. I'm just going to dice it all up. Don't have to be precise. Get some of that in the bag. We're going to reserve some for your meat. A little bit more. A little bit more. Now we're going to get into the fennel. I'll take it off at the fronds. It's got a nice anise flavor. That'll get really good and sweet as it cooks. It's okay if you get the fronds in there because the fronds have a lot of really good flavor too. So we just want to cut this in half. And then we want to take out the core right here. So we're just gonna have to do it this way. I'm just gonna slice a triangle at the core. I'm just gonna take that out. Just want to peel it all apart, kind of like with an onion. Just peel out all the layers. So since we split our bulb in half, we're going to put one bulb in one bag, one half of a bulb in one bag. And then we'll do the same with the other bulb and put it in the other bag of vegetables. Okay, then we want to do 3 onion each in the bag. And I use the green and the white, as you guys know. Okay. Give them a good mix and a toss. And then kind of divide it up evenly. And there's one bag. And goes in the other. Make sure it's relatively even. Now we're going to get a red onion in there. Be very careful. I have a big red onion. Just going to get all the skin off. The not fun layer. It's basically going to be one side of an onion in a bag. You don't have to do, we're actually gonna like do bigger cuts. Okay. Let's get some cilantro in those bags. And I'm just going to take care of all of our green situations first. Separate a third of it, or however much you would like. I'm just going to stick to separating a third. Actually, we'll put more in. We'll chop up more. Why not? I love cilantro, so. Save that for the meat. Now, get some sage. Get all that protective magic in there. The thyme. Now we're going to use more of these herbs in the crock pot fresh tomorrow with everything, but we want to get some of these flavors going now. Get some fresh rosemary leaves in there. This only came with 1 stick of rosemary, so I'm only going to use, but that's fine because I'm going to use half of it. You want to get all your herbs nicely firmly diced with our marinade so it doesn't shake all over the place. Want to get a really good mix on the herbs. You don't want big leaves, especially of the sage. This is going to be overpowering a lot. Just a little too outer pile for the meat. We don't want the herbs to overpower the meat. Just do some all over. I'm gonna get a toothpick or a fork because we're gonna poke holes in the meat so the marinade gets into the tissue and crevices. Remember, this is boneless, skinless pork carnitas, about 2.5 pounds. Get however many you want. We're just going to poke holes in the meat all over on each one. On the sides, really just want to get little microscopic holes wherever we can in the meat, so the marinade will just get into every part of it. Alright, so now we want to get our garlic and herb, cilantro, which is an herb mixture, into the bag with the meat. I'm going to get some fennel fronds in there, into all of it. You don't really need to worry, you can just kind of tear it, you don't need to chop it all up. Fennel and pork are just like natural friends. And the fronds are really easy to take off. It's like Dylan salmon. Don't let those fronds go to waste, because they're so delicious. Just keep adding more and more to your pork, honestly, too, because, like I said, fennel is just super good friends with pork. Now that everything's ready, we're going to go ahead and get our marinade into the bags. We need a ladle for that. Smush it around, you know the drill. You want to just kind of help everything all mix together with the meat. And I'll probably double bag this just because it's not as strong as a Ziploc is. So just to be on the safe side, we'll go ahead and double bag the meat one. I'm sure the veggies will be fine. There we go. Get our meat all smushed around. Now it's time to fill our veggies with marinade as well. Unlike the meat, we don't need it bathing in the marinade. We just want to get it coated. Then we'll toss up the herbs. Now it's good enough that we can pour the rest of this marinade out of the bowl. Really good shake. Make sure the air's out so it can smoosh around properly. And the same thing with the other bag of veggies. Perfect. That's all the marinade's done. And so it's just gonna go sit in the fridge overnight, all three of them to go and finish off in the crock pot tomorrow. Alright, so obviously now, I did that, it's been overnight, taking it out. When you get it out, I would say about an hour before you start, you're getting it in the crock pot, you wanna get everything back to room temperature. And then 2 hours, 2.5 hours before you're gonna put it in, get your crock pot on high, get it really, really hot. So we want to get just like a nice char and caramelization on everything, starting with the meat. So we have a really hot cast iron right next to our crock pot. And we're just going to go ahead and put our vegetable oil in the cast iron. We want to do about a tablespoon. Make sure that's evenly distributed in your cast iron. Obviously, if you don't have a cast iron, that's fine. Just use a regular large saute pan. Just go ahead and get your meat in there. Might have to do some Jenga, but you should be able to get it all in the pan. little extra of that sauce in there with the meat to cook at the moment, but don't reserve any of it. Like, you can't use it later, but you just kind of make sure it stays on your meat before you flip it over. Discard the rest. Do not reuse it. It's gross. So we're just gonna let that hang out and get a nice browning going. As soon as you see it kind of start to turn color, flip it over, because we don't want to do all the cooking in the pan. We want to make sure we do it slow and low in the slow cooker with everything. We just want to get a nice little bit of a browning on each side. Alright, so after like a minute, maybe 2 on the other side as well, we're now going to put it in our slow cooker. All of that delicious meat just goes right in the slow cooker. We want to take what little left of the sauce is in our pan and add it to the slow cooker with the meat that it was just in. Okay. Heat the pan. Now we're going to put our veggies, our first bag of veggies into the pan.
So colorful.
I know. And now Van's going to take over. You're just going to stir that all around.
Right. Just kind of constantly stir?
Here and there, just frequently, not constantly.
Okay.
Always clean hands, wash your hands.
Scrub away your filth.
Yes. For now, just let it hang out.
Okay.
And then actually, turn up the volume just a little on that tab. So I would say bring it up to about a medium high heat actually, and then just let it hang out. Because you want to start kind of caramelizing. You are going to do this in batches. It's in 2 bags. I'm doing 1 bag at a time. And at this point, you can add any other spices that you want to add, like autumnal spices to your root vegetables. Zach will do that now. Perfect. We're starting to get some browning on some of these. This is getting some good caramelization on some of these. All right. So we're going to do about a teaspoon of white pepper. Just get it in your palm, just a little teaspoon. You can always do the measurer if you're not good at eyeballing. Do a teaspoon of nutmeg. Teaspoon of ground cinnamon, which is kind of just like a couple of shakes around. Everything's actually kind of a couple shakes around, honestly. And a couple shakes of the coriander, a couple shakes around of the chili powder. That's more to taste. Would you like to do a couple shakes around of the smoked paprika?
Sure.
Perfect. With some ground ginger, just a couple shakes around. There you go. Dried oregano, a couple shakes around. Perfect. So I have this smokehouse maple seasoning that I really like to use to add that added touch. Just a couple shakes around. Allspice, I'll do it myself. I don't have a shaker thing on it, so. Same thing with the allspice. We got dried rosemary, a couple shakes around. And the dried thyme. A couple shakes around. Might have to be a little forceful with that one, depending on branding. If it starts to get a little dry in the pan, add a little more oil. Make sure everything gets coated with your seasoning. And then we're going to now add it to our pot with all of our meat. So then get more oil into your pan. We're going to add the next batch of veggies. And re-season all of your veggies.
Or season this round, I guess.
Yeah, season this round.
Yeah.
Repeat the process. Alright, so same thing. Now we've got the color on the fennel and the onion. So we're going to turn our heat off, pop our lid into our slow cooker, and just get that all transferred over. So it may cover your meat, that's alright, because it's all going to cook down. Alright, so get that spread out evenly in your slow cooker. Now it's time to add our liquids. I'm going to do half a cup of tomato sauce. Half a cup of red wine. Oh, this is nice. Negro.
Yeah.
I know red wine is not like traditional or anything, but it's my party.
Exactly. And you'll wine if you want to.
I will. And then we have 1 bottle of Negro Modelo, Mexican dark beer. Use a bottle opener, dump that whole bottle into the slow cooker. There we go. Give it a stir around, just make sure everything's incorporated. Well, that looks amazing.
The only tragedy is waiting 8 hours to eat it.
Yes. So then you're gonna put a lid on it. We have a timer for 7.5 hours. We're literally gonna do nothing. We're gonna let it hang out about an hour before it's supposed to be done. That's when we'll start on the rice and everything else that we're gonna have with it. So there you go, super easy, and we'll show you only the finished product. All right, so it's been about 7 hours. And at this point, you're gonna check it. It should be down to your warm or your simmer at this point. I just went ahead and fucked with it because I'm stupid. So all right, so now you're just gonna go in there and check it. And your meat should be falling apart at this point, which it is.
It's very much is.
So you've got like that, and you've just got this like beautiful shredded meat and all your veggies. So you're just gonna load it up on your plate, cover it. We have some extra mole over here, and that was mixed with half a cup of red wine, like using that, and then another bottle of Modelo Negro, and then just reduced down. And that's the full package of the Doña Maria mole, and then the other half package from the night before with the marinade. All put together with some extra dark chocolate chips put in there.
Because we can just never have too much chocolate, and neither can the dead.
And it's just beautiful. So then there it is, all shredded with the root vegetables, all ready to go on the plate. There's the beautiful mole, all dark and rich and spicy and chocolatey. So excited. And then we've got our tortillas in there, all ready to go. Mmm. Oh, God. Mm-hmm. That is really succulent. Really good pork.
Oh my god. Amazing. Oh my gosh, so buttery.
So delicious.
And all of those herbs are just so wonderful.
They really are. Move the item really quick. So in the oven, on warm. So in the oven, we've got our Spanish rice, our Mexican or fiesta corn, and then we have our tortillas warming.
But they need a little more love.
So here's the corn and the Spanish rice. So there you have it. Just serve that all up on a plate, however you want to serve all these items. We're about to pig out.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll film what the plate looks like, built all together. Maybe not, because, yeah. I want to eat.
Either way, just know that we will be stuffing our little piggy faces and very much enjoying our doing so.
And we hope that you will do so too and stuff your faces on this delicious dish with these delicious witches and be a delicious witch.
Exactly.
This Dios de los Muertos. Salud. That was super fucking good.
It was so good.
I hope you guys enjoy it. Obviously, it is not Dios de los Muertos yet, so I made sure to make extra and got it frozen, and so we'll have it again for actual Dios de los Muertos. You guys will not be steered wrong on this entire
not at
fucking
all.
meal.
Honestly, with any mole, like I freaking love a mole. I think that's actually my favorite Mexican dish of them all.
So
I mean,
good.
he can attest if we're out at any fucking Mexican restaurant and I see a mole on a menu, I'm getting it.
It's true. It's true.
But this one was especially amazing.
Yes, and it just so enjoy the carnitas and the vegetables. And again, you can serve with rice, as we did with roasted corn, with obviously tortillas. Like just have fun, enjoy. Make sure to give it to your loved ones, living or dead. All right.
Along with any of their favorite foods.
It's true. It's true.
Especially the mole.
So I thought, before we move on to the rest of the list of the show, we could just kind of share maybe a story or two about personal experience, memories that we have in our lives of Dios de los Muertos, whether from childhood or adulthood or someplace in between.
Yeah.
You could go ahead.
Okay,
you have
so
one?
yeah. This is more kind of like a general childhood story for me. So even though I myself am not Mexican, I actually did grow up in a place with a very, very heavy Mexican community, which I think surprises a lot of people when they talk to me because, I am from Wyoming.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who have never been there kind of have this prejudgment that everything is like corn-fed, only white people, only racist white people,
right?
Like that. And that can be true for many parts of the state. However, it is definitely not true for all of it.
Yeah.
And for me, where I'm from, I would say it's probably 60% white people to like 40% Mexicans. And a lot of the Mexican community comes from Ciudad Cuauhtemoc, which is in Chihuahua State.
Yeah, Chihuahua.
Chihuahua, thank you. Which is not a terribly large city. So a lot of the people who I grew up with who came to my town later, like they all knew each other back in Mexico, and then they all migrated. Like they found each other again once they arrived. Like so it was very much this like pre-built sense of community. So although I myself am not Mexican, like I am not from Mexico, it's a place that is it's got a very Mexican culture to it. So I mean, if you walk through my town, like we have the tiendas, we have the ofrendas in the stores and in the schools. Like I grew up making sugar skulls in classes. So a lot of these topics surrounding Dia de los Muertos are just things that I have such a strong childhood association and memory of, and that really just brought me so much joy and nostalgia. Although, I'm white, blah blah. I mean, partially. I'm not all the way white, but I'm not Mexican. But I definitely did have quite a few Mexican experiences in my childhood and in the times that I was being raised up and just forming my ideas about the world. And I really have a close place in my heart for Mexico in general, but also for this beautiful holiday that we are observing right now. So that's my spiel.
So you would say like kind of like Dios de los Muertos and the imagery and things of it, and that kind of reminds you of the magic of Mexico when you were a child.
Yes.
And all the things that you appreciate and love about Mexico and Mexican culture.
Yes.
I love that. For me, you know, it's a little different. I think a lot of people can understand, even you, obviously, too, if you have a parent of a different culture, different ethnicity, different background, and you don't know them.
Right.
There's a whole section of your life kind of cut off that you just don't connect to and you don't culturally understand or know or anything.
Oh, yeah, I can relate to that, too.
Yeah. And so, for me, especially once we moved to El Paso, Texas, when I was 17, I moved after my family moved there. Long story, one day maybe we'll get into that tale. But I eventually joined them, and it was like it was end of August, so it was like during this time of transition change, you know. And El Paso is literally right across the border from Ciudad Juarez, which is in Chihuahua, in the state of Chihuahua, and there are many, when you go on the freeway in El Paso, drive around, there's like old cemeteries, like everywhere. Some dating back in 1500s, you know.
Yeah.
And I just remember the first time, that first October of 2001, actually. So actually right after 9/11.
Yeah.
But I remember when that cemetery and all the cemeteries would just be like covered in marigolds and covered with their windows everywhere, and you would just see ofrendas in people's houses, through the windows of people's houses, and people's homes would be decorated for Dios de los Muertos. And but it was also still very family and very religious in El Paso at the time. I don't know what it's like now. I think they're more party festive about it. But they were not back in like 2001, not like 25, 24 years ago. Like, God, I can't believe it was that long. And then when I returned, I moved away when I turned 18, so I was there for like a year. And then I returned 6 months later, and then I ended up living there for like 5.5 years. And it was just a really magical time of connecting with parts of myself that I really never knew growing up, and cultures that were a part of me, and really learning about just different ways of celebrating this time of year. And like if you go down into El Paso, like downtown El Paso, people would call that Little Mexico. Like, it's straight up like, at that point, it's like downtown El Paso is like you literally cross the border already.
Exactly.
And Dios de los Muertos and this entire time of year is just always really beautiful. And for me, when I think about that time, is, you know, I think about glows. I think about glowing. I just think about the glow of candles and the glow of the light of the candles on marigolds. I just think about glowing. I think about oranges and you know, when it's the only way you can. It's, you know, culture, it's music, it's food, it's spirituality that become the tools that allow you to connect with who you are. If you don't, especially if you don't have that, familial connection to speak with, to learn from, and I think that that's what I think about Dios de los Muertos, and what that means to me, and what that symbolizes for me is the time period of my life where I really got to really reconnect and discover, connect with and really discover myself and parts of myself in so many ways.
Oh yeah.
You know, so.
I actually had an experience that I would like to bring up. So I was very close with my grandfather. He was probably the only like extended member of my family that I was extremely close with. And I remember when he died in 2007, and I got the call while I was in line at the bank to, you know, make a deposit or something. And it was one of those moments where you, in the initial moment, you just kind of like, you're like blank about it, you know, and then it hits you later. So I finish up at the bank, I do what I need to do, I go to the coffee shop. Now it happened to be Dia de los Muertos season at the time. And as I mentioned earlier, like we did have a lot of stores that would do ofrendas in the stores. So I'm in line for my bagel at the coffee shop. And just then it like all of the grief just like hits me. And so I'm like, I start like crying in this line waiting for my fucking bagel and cream cheese. And then I turn around and I see the ofrenda, I see the marigolds in there, and I just go right to it, and I just go and I pray, and I say how much like I need my grandpa to get where he's going. I love him, like, and it was a whole different like shift in in the energy after I went to the ofrenda.
Yeah.
100%. So that I think is my most probably treasured memory that I have around this season, and I always keep his picture in my witchy altars to this day.
I love that. Well, there you go. We have some, well, not some. There is just, well, kind of scratch the surface of Dios de los Muertos this time of year. Obviously, there is so much more beneath the surface.
Of course.
But more time than we have to give to this episode.
For sure.
But we hope that what we shared with you about Dios de los Muertos and what, you know, the food and the memories and everything will help you kind of enjoy and celebrate this time of year. And I'm sure a lot of you watching are going to do Samhain and that sort of thing. But I would encourage you to find ways to incorporate Dios de los Muertos into your life. And I will tell you, don't worry about cultural appropriation. It's really not that serious. Honestly, if you went to Mexico and said anything about that and be like, can I put a picture here? Can I do it? They would laugh and be like, of course you can. Like, that's the whole point. So just acknowledge in yourself and to other people if they ask where it comes from, where the ofrenda comes from, where the Katrina and the Katrins come from. If you do follow Santa Muerte or you are in the process of wanting to spend more time with the skinny lady, again, just make sure you are speaking from an educated place about who she is, what Dios de los Muertos is, what anything is, then hold that in yourself at all times, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. And I think just like approaching any deity, just listen to her and what she is requesting from you and what she is imparting you to show you.
Yeah,
you know?
And Santa Muerte is loud, trust, and she answers quick. So like, if that's where you're at in this, and that's maybe where you're like, oh, Dios de los Muertos, this is the perfect time to like explore a relationship with Santa Muerte. Just be fearless. Don't be afraid of her. Don't approach her with fear. She looks a lot scarier than she actually is. I personally think she's fun and beautiful, and I don't think she's scary at all. I think she's pretty and gorgeous, and I love her smile.
Me too.
So, yeah, with that being said, we hope that you have a wonderful Dios de los Muertos.
Yes.
And now we are going to move on to our surprise replacement moving forward for Pagan Invasion, and that is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I've seen it, Evan's never seen it. And I really like the story arc of how they start as Luciferian witches and find themselves returning to HEKA-TEA and returning to the Great Mother and returning to being witches, I guess. So yeah, it's just, I think it's a really interesting arc and journey that the witches of the Midnight Church, I believe, if I remember correctly, is what they're called, go through in the journey that they take to go from Luciferian back to the goddess. I think that's just interesting, and I think Evan will really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, that's a very beautiful storyline and a very beautiful arc. The only thing I know about it going in is that Kiernan Shipka is in it.
Yes.
And that I don't have to fly over the Crystal Mountains anymore.
No, that's over.
And that there was a really funny gift from it.
Yes. Hail Satan. So, with that being said, we'll be right back with our review of our first impressions of the first episode. Well, more Evan's first impressions and my revisit.
Exactly.
All right. So we are back to travel through the misty forests of Greendale to find the Spellman mortuary, where we then find Sabrina Spellman living with her crazy kooky aunts Helda and Zelda, and her cousin Ambrose, and her soon-to-be joined new familiar Salem, on the chilling adventures of Sabrina. So this is now replacing Pagan Invasion.
Yes, and we are very much more excited to watch this than to watch Chuck and Carol.
Yes. So I've already seen it. I watched it when every new part, season, whatever, was released. So I'm already familiar with the show. I've seen it, blah, blah, blah.
I was not. I mean, I knew about it, but I had never sat down and watched it before.
Right.
Is it still like on the air being released?
No, it's
or did
done.
It end?
It ended.
Okay.
It ended in 2020. Started in 2018 and ended in 2020.
Got you. I did see 2020 on the show when we were watching it, but I figured that was maybe the first season.
Yeah. So it's that's when I know. I think that they do that because that's when like the most current season drops.
Okay.
So then it just shows the most.
That makes sense.
I think if you go to like any Netflix show and like a new season drops, it'll show that whatever year that is, the current year.
Okay. I don't know why, but I always, in my brain, I always convert that to like the first season aired that year, but I know it's probably not the case for most things.
Yeah. So, Sabrina Spellman is played by a young Kiernan Shipka.
Yes.
And we have Harvey Kinkle played by Ross Lynch, who was also in My Friend Dahmer, and he played a high school age Jeffrey Dahmer. Hilda Spellman is played by the wonderful Lucy Davis, who's just adorable.
She
and
is adorable.
Zelda, who is just icon.
Icon. I also really love her very Norma Desmond style cigarette holder. It's great.
Yes, she is played by the actress Miranda Otto, who I think is incredible. And yeah, just kind of Ambrose is played by Chance Perdomo, and he's wonderful and queer throughout the series, which I just love. And yeah, it's a well-rounded cast that follows with it. What did you think of this first one? So Sabrina, for those of you who maybe haven't watched, she is about to turn 16. In the original comics / the TV series with Melissa Joan Hart, she doesn't discover she's a witch until her 16th birthday, or like leading right up to it. In this one, she already knows she's a witch, but she has to make a choice whether to follow the path of light or follow the path of darkness, or follow the Church of Night, path of night. And that's kind of the dilemma that we are finding her in, as we're going one episode at a time, and we've only done episode 1.
Yeah, so she's in a situation where she has to choose between staying a member of the human world or going completely into the witchy world.
Yes.
In this, it's kind of a never the twain shall meet type of situation.
Right.
So she is definitely having a dilemma, a crisis of faith, coupled with just being a teenager.
Yeah, not wanting to say goodbye to your friends or your boyfriend or whatever. So what did you think? What did you think of it?
I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it. I liked the way that the witchcraft is. You know, it's very, very natural, very like using things that you could actually use in real witchcraft.
Yeah, they were really faithful like actual, like, no, granted, again, Sabrina, so really fantastical.
But rooted in reality and natural witchcraft. I really like that
the
part.
oldest tree and the so like, for example, for Samhain, Halloween, a popular way of predicting the future was with an apple, and they actually used how in this, traditionally you would go find the oldest tree in the apple orchard when you were picking your apples for like your Halloween party, right? Bobbing for apples for your games, whatever you need apples for. But whatever you were going to use apples for, any type of fortune telling, then you'd want to find the oldest tree in the apple orchard and use those apples for your guests for fortune telling. And that, of course, goes back to just if you're seeking to connect with trees and spirits of trees and the wisdom that they impart, finding the oldest tree, the older the tree, the more it's experienced and knows. And so I like that they got that.
Exactly. I like that there was an egg cleansing in it. Ritual baths.
Reversing handles. It was just very... They did their homework.
They definitely did. I will say that. That was really nice. I will also say one thing that I can see why the show was such a huge success, because this is something a lot of people love. Myself, not quite so much. But something that kind of took me out of it a little bit was like the use of the colors in it, and then just kind of the way that the dialogue was written. It lent a little bit of a Tim Burton type feel to it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a complimentary way.
Right.
So that took me out of it a little bit, but at the same time, I can also see how for many people, that would be something that would keep you returning to the show and wanting more.
Right.
You know?
Well, and it's definitely different from like the traditional Archie comics of Sabrina, which was much more bubbly, comic-y, funny, bright. And Glendale was not like a kind of perpetual spooky town.
Right.
Which I will say, as the season goes on, it all kind of peters out.
Yeah.
The Tim Burtonness of it, all of it kind of peters out.
Yes.
You gotta remember that's why I always try to give everything, like if it's like a show, I always try to give like the first 3 episodes a chance.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes they work out their kinks from the pilot.
Exactly. Like sometimes they do need a couple of episodes to kind of find their footing.
Yeah.
And it does seem like that is the case here. I did not come away from it not wanting to continue watching it, but that was something that, you know, was a little grating for me, but I can completely understand how it would have been a pull to watch the show for others, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it took me out of it a little bit, but I definitely did not cause me not to enjoy it. I did really, really enjoy most of the show. There was actually, interestingly, my question was that I kept wondering through the course of the show, and I couldn't really tell just being that it was the first episode, but are Hilda and Zelda like a couple in this version?
No, they're sisters.
Okay, so they're sisters. They kind of had like an almost like romantic,
sapphic energy.
Yeah, and plus like one of them has an English accent and the other has an American accent. So with those two factors coupled together, I was like, wait, are they married in this version?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that would have been better. I would have loved that actually if they had been like a couple. But no, they are sisters.
Okay.
Yes.
That was something I was honestly wondering, but from it being the first episode, I couldn't 100% tell one way or the other.
Right. Well, yeah, and exactly. You have Hilda, who is English,
Yes.
and then you have Zelda, who just has a very posh, austere, what we would call, or would have called mid-Atlantic accent, or now we would just say, really, it's just kind of like a certain breeding, diction,
but
education.
But it's clearly still American.
Correct, but absolutely American, not English.
No.
And,
so yeah, that made me wonder. Plus, like, there was a little moment in one of the scenes where, like, Zelda kind of had her hand on Hilda's arm, and I was like, oh, they're gonna kiss.
Again, I'm loving this alternate universe storyline. Well, it's like, so one of my best friends, Shelly, and I, we a long time ago when we were kids, when Charmed first premiered back in 1998, and that first season, and actually through the whole thing, but at least until Prue was no longer around, but the first 4 seasons, we had this entire alternate reality universe where the Halliwell sisters were not actual sisters, but sisters in the lesbian sense.
Yes.
And that when you see the pilot episode, and like, Phoebe is coming to move into the house and everything. The way it reads when you watch the show, especially that first pilot episode, is that Prue and Piper are in a relationship, and Phoebe is like the toxic, manic pixie girl ex-girlfriend of Piper's.
Yes.
And Prue has never been able to, like, it's always been pissed off that, like, the condition of her and Piper being together was that Piper was still, like, that she'd be okay with Piper still having a friendship with her ex-girlfriend Phoebe. And so, like, and then, like, there's this whole alternate, but the way that, like, Shannon Doherty and Holly Marie Combs and Alyssa Milano played the Halliwell sisters, especially in that first couple of seasons, there you really were able to play this alternate storyline, alternate universe, where the Halliwell sisters were just sisters in a sapphic community sense.
Yes, I mean, honestly, I think that as I go through watching the rest of these episodes, that will be my personal headcanon.
Right.
That they are her aunts because her Aunt Zelda married Hilda.
Yes, while she was studying abroad in England.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I really do think that you're gonna enjoy the show, and I think as it goes on, I think it will definitely even impress you even more, the things they get into. I'm really thinking about some of the episodes that are coming up, even just in this first season.
Oh yeah,
I'm really excited for you to see.
For sure. I mean, it's just such an iconic, like, cultural piece.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to continue watching it. I also want to say the only thing that I had previously seen Kiernan Shipka in was the Black Coat's daughter.
So good.
So good. But what I was really noticing in watching this was what a, like, night and day difference this character is from her character in that. And it really just made me have such an appreciation for her range.
Yeah, she's a different range.
Yeah, very, very, very talented actor. Love her. And she's just so cute.
Yes, and I do appreciate how witchy it feels.
It does feel
like,
very witchy.
There is something to say for, like, yes, like a perpetual, like a place like this where it's like October, oh, you're in love, it's Monday. But there is something about that atmosphere of the winter time.
Exactly.
That just looks and feels very witchy spooky in every aspect. And I do like that when you are watching it, you are immersed in that.
Oh, you are, yeah.
I like that.
And I love how queer the whole thing is.
Yes, yes, and you haven't even seen anything yet.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I mean, this is, I guess, why I immediately was like, they're married.
Right. Well, and I like that Zelda's former familiar, who is, like, stuffed now because it's dead.
Yeah.
But I like that her former familiar was named Vinegar Tom.
Yeah.
Because Vinegar Tom has historical significance as one of the named familiars by one of the few people who brazenly admitted and owned to being a witch during the witch trials.
Yes.
And
like, it was, this show is definitely very well researched.
It really is.
I really love that about it.
So I just thought, that was incredible.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also like the part where Salem comes to Sabrina for the first time, and you think he's appearing at first as, like, this crazy, like, swamp monster, and then he steps out and it's a cat.
Right.
And I think we can both attest, as people who have cats, that is the spirit of a cat.
It is the spirit of
every
a cat. The goblin from the woods.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you liked the first episode.
I did. I can't wait to continue this journey of spooky Sabrina Glendale magical journey.
Yes. And what do you guys think of Sabrina, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina? Are you a fan? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you prefer the Melissa Joan Hart to this one? They're very different beasts, but maybe you have a preference. Let us know in the comments. And looking forward to it. So I guess with that all done, it is time for our Samhain, Dios de los Muertos, Halloween, spooky season themed spellcraft. So, some Halloween spellcraft.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's gonna be a very fun little segment, and I can't wait to take a bite out.
Oh, I see what you did there. Because what we're talking about is the apple.
Exactly. Apple spells for many, many centuries have been often associated with Halloween parties and fun.
It's very true.
Yes.
Again, play parties, as we mentioned when we were at this fire in the past. These play parties were very famous for a lot of apple fortune telling games,
Yes.
especially once the Irish came in the 19th century during the escape of the famine and brought all of their Samhain traditions with them.
Oh, yes,
they brought a lot of
absolutely.
apple fortune telling and apple magic with them.
Definitely. The game Bobbing for Apples was originally not only a party game, but it was also divination.
Yes.
Now, obviously, just like today, you would bite into the apples floating into the top of water. But traditionally, this was more of a matchmaking divination situation. And if you did successfully bite into an apple, it symbolized good fortune and love coming in the next year.
Yes, yes. So some simple apple Halloween magic that you can do. One is simple apple peel divination, which is just by using a paring knife. You're going to peel the apple in one long unbroken strip. You want to go from the top and all the way around. So then you want to toss the peel over your left shoulder and look at the shape it forms on the ground or on the floor. And the shape is said to be the first initial of your future love.
Interesting. I bet a lot of people are ending up doing that for them.
Probably.
So the next spell is a mirror ritual. So what you're going to do is turn out the lights and light a candle. Cut the apple into 9 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Eat 8 of the pieces. I mean, if you insist.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pierce the 9th piece with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Hold the 9th piece over your shoulder. The apparition of your future partner is said to appear in the mirror and take the piece.
Oh, yum yum. For some love.
Exactly.
Another is a simple apple wish spell. And so what you're going to do is just simply carve your wish into an apple using symbols or sigils. Envision the apple embodying your intent as you eat it, and then offer the core back to the earth as a sign of gratitude. So you can do this by eating it and then tossing the core into the fire, sending out your wish.
Oh, I've done that spell so many times.
Yes. And of course, the significance, of course, is apples, as we said, have been symbols of love, luck, prosperity, health, abundance, and fertility for thousands of years. And in Celtic tradition, apples were sacred and associated with divination, again, during Samhain especially. So remember, witches, this Halloween, this Samhain, just grab yourself an apple and take a bite out of your own destiny. The future tastes really good.
My destiny tastes so juicy.
And why is that, witches? Because
These apples are
not just for eating. Well, we hope that you guys enjoyed that very festive spellcraft.
Yes, we definitely will be enjoying it for moons to come.
Yes. All right. So I think now we are finally winding down.
Yes, we are.
To the end of season 2, episode 1, our Samhain Dios de los Muertos spooky season special.
It has been a wild, witchy ride, and I'm hoping that you guys have enjoyed this trip on our broomsticks together.
Yes. So definitely looking forward to so many more of these specials.
Definitely.
And especially now that we're kind of going not just around the world, because we've already been doing trips around the world this past season, but now that we're looking at different alternative pagan cult celebrations and stuff. And obviously we're always going to mention a corresponding major neo-pagan Wicca, whatever, Sabbat, Wheel of the Year Sabbat, just like we did in this episode. But we really want and like the idea of focusing on other things and exploring other things, because there's a gazillion, everyone does, they make new videos, but everyone does, they kind of every year do a Beltane, they just do the same over and over. We kind of want to do something different, and there's so many
pagan paths out there.
and traditions and celebrations, and in terms of maybe smaller cult things where it's okay, we have Yule, but then you could be more specific and say, well, this year I'm going to celebrate Saturnalia. And the 3 days of Saturnalia, including, I think it's the second day, which is Juvenalia, which is focused all on children and gifting and celebrating children. And that is where we kind of get that aspect of it in our Yule / Christmas time celebration. So yeah, you could be like, I'm doing Yule, or I'm doing the winter solstice, or you could be more specific, or you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm doing Samhain, or I'm doing Dios,
Exactly.
or you could be like, I'm celebrating Paloma.
Yes.
Excuse me, Pomona. Excuse me, I'm celebrating Pomona.
I mean, we could celebrate with Pomona.
I will
with
always
some Palomas.
celebrate. But, you know, so you could either do, you could do Samhain, or you could celebrate Pomona.
Yes.
So we think, so maybe next year it will be our
maybe
Samhain
we will.
/ Pomona special. Maybe this year will be Yule's winter solstice / Saturnalia / Juvenalia, whatever. Like, so we just like that we have the opportunity to do that. And I'm really glad that for this year, on so many levels, very personal, I think, for both of us.
Absolutely.
For some same reasons and for different ones.
Mm-hmm.
But Dios de los Muertos, being able to focus on it this year was just really special and wonderful, and glad that we could share it with you guys. I'm going to turn that head right there. All right. So with that, though, out of the way, it is time for Witchy Media Review. And this Witchy Media Review is I love the film. Love. 2020's The Old Ways. It's an indie horror film, specifically an American folk horror, directed by Christopher Allender, and it stars Brigitte Cali Canales as Cristina Lopez, a Mexican-American reporter who returns to her hometown near Veracruz in search of a story on witchcraft, brujeria, curandera, etc. There, she is kidnapped by a group of locals, including a bruja, brujo, female, male, as we know, Spanish language is gendered. And so bruja, female, witch, brujo, male, form, male. Spelling of same thing, same word, witch. Who believes that she is possessed by a demon. I love this movie.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. I had never seen it before. You know, another one that was brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great movie.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yes, and I love when we get films where witchcraft saves the day, where being a witch saves the day, and not just in the sense of like, oh, it's a movie where the main characters are witches, so therefore like they're going to be the heroes or whatever. No, I mean like in like these like possession movies, haunting movies, things where it's like there's oppressive evil forces, and in the end, the help they get and the only thing that works is not Christianity, Catholicism, blah blah blah, but the old way. Yeah, the old way. That's the movie states. And you know. We saw that with Exorcist Believer, which we are going to do that film. But, you know, brief mention, for those of you who have seen it or haven't, in the end, what saves the day is not the Catholic priest, it's not Christianity, it's none of that. It's paganism, it's root work, it's voodoo, it's magic, and it's the laws, it's deities, it's that save the day, not the Christian God, not Christianity in its many forms, or Judeo-Christian, Islamic, whatever, Abrahamic point of view. So I love that this was not that. I love this was like, no, this is tradition, this is pagan, this is the old ways, old craft, old magic, and this is what's going to save the fucking day.
Such a great, fun ride.
Yes. Not recommend highly enough.
Oh no, not at all. It's just wonderful movie. It definitely is one that keeps you guessing throughout the turn of events in the movie. Because
if you haven't seen it, until shit starts to get weird, you're like
what?
Is this real, or is she actually being a prisoner of people's delusion?
Exactly.
And then, you know, you find out that she has a drug addiction. And so then that helps come into play, because even after the weird shit starts to happen, you're still like, for a minute there, you're like, it keeps you guessing. Well, okay, so weird shit is happening. She's seeing weird shit, but is it still real, or is it
like
brought
a
on?
Symptom of her addiction.
Yeah, and induced by a really bad trip and by the psychological suggestion of the rituals around her.
Exactly.
So,
and it's not until quite late in the movie where you actually 100% find out what the situation is.
Exactly.
I would say it's even kind of in the tradition of the first Omen movie, where the whole time this situation and this talk about him being the child of the devil is situated and circulating, but it's a very like, is he or isn't he, for the entire movie until like the last moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that I thought that was really strong in that movie, and I love when other movies kind of echo that, and I felt like this was one such movie where it did work.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I would definitely say it's a full moon for me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would give it a full moon, only because there were some like cheesy moments in it for sure.
I have to make room for cheese though. Like when it comes to like any type of film that's gonna have like an action-y, because there was like an action-y sequence.
For sure.
Like, I feel like you're specifically referring to the line, "I'm a bruja, bitch."
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was silly, but like I also like that. No, it was cheese. It was cheese. It was just straight up cheese. It was. Yeah, but I can allow for it.
Exactly, I can allow for it. I don't know 100% if I can give it a full moon, only because of like some moments of cheese. But I also felt like those moments really worked well in the context of the movie.
Yes.
So
the ending was hilariously great.
Yes. As close to a full moon as I could go without reaching the full moon climax.
Right. You're like literally like when people are like, there's 3 days of the full moon because they think that the day before and the day after, which are waxing and waning, but because they look so full, people are like, it's a full moon, 3 days of the full moon. So it's like, so you're like you're a crowning waning or waxing gibbon.
Yes,
you're like crowning.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, gave birth.
Right.
The baby's been delivered.
Right. But you're not out of the haze of medication yet.
No, so I'm straight up full moon glow. I got a motherly full moon glow going on with my scoring for the film. But you are I'm full waxing gibbon. Well, there you have it, guys.
There you have it.
But either way, check out this movie.
Definitely worth a watch. Loved it.
Let us know what you think of it, obviously. Excuse me. Perfect. Excuse me. My apologies. Let us know what you think about it. If you've already seen the film, let us know in the comments what you think. If you watch it after getting our recommendation, please come back and comment and hit us up in our DMs, whatever. Let us know what you think about the film. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you love it? Did you not? Why? We'd love to know. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think so as well.
As usual, thank you for watching. Really, please just hit a like on that. Hit the like button. Comment. Just it really those things really help us. Subscribe.
Oh, absolutely.
Those things really do help. Get us into the algorithm. Get our show moving and in front of more eyes and in front of more people.
Exactly.
We're not perfect. Obviously, we're not polished. I'm recording this on my phone for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
But that is how we are, and obviously, if hopefully down the road, better production, whatever. But we also like where we're at.
Exactly.
But
I mean, maybe that's part of our charm. We are unfiltered and just right in your face.
Yeah. But either way, this has been a fun past year. This past season 1 has been amazing. And now here we are with the new season.
Been such a magical journey.
Yeah. Please, if you are in the area, come check out the HEKA-TEA Sickle Festival. We will be there November 7th through the 9th at the Hilton SeaTac Airport, Hilton and Convention Center, where Reverend Selena Fox will be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. And we're going to basically kind of be the entertainment press for the entire thing. So looking forward to a lot of runway, red carpet moments. There's gala, vampire ball. We're going to talk to all the vendors that are there, and then we're going to do a live taping of our show. More information can be found on the website. Please check us out. Come join us. Spread the word. And as always, if you like what you see, if we've entertained you, again, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And remember, witches, broomsticks, not just for cleaning.